The House will please come to order. We have a series of privileges that are going to take place, and Representative Larson, I think we're going to start with yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privilege of the floor, if I may.
Please.
I would like to welcome back to the floor a former majority floor leader, great colleague, great leader, great chairman of appropriations and corporations, and all around wonderful person. Miss Rosie Berger is here to visit with us. We're going to have her. Now, here's the term. Speaker said briefly. We'll see what that term means.
I think your applause took up all my 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, privilege of the floor.
The privilege is mine.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know that you've started off as busy as anyone can be. I know that you're going to do good work. I want you to know that I'm part of the group of Leadership Wyoming. I think there'll be another introduction there, but I travel across the state of Wyoming, meeting some of the most amazing people. And I am hopeful for our future generation. The work that you do in this chamber and down the hall is good work. And we appreciate you for your service. We appreciate your families for providing for you while you're gone and being the wind beneath your wings. And I want to take a moment today because I come back into this Capitol and I'm so thrilled that you can be here and that you can serve in this beautiful Capitol. But more importantly, also to appreciate the Legislative Service Office, the session staff, and all of those that help make you good policymakers. So with that, Mr. Speaker, is it short enough?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You good work.
You know, I was actually reminded of Rosie, I had to go to the restroom right before this because I'd hydrated. And Rosie was really good about telling us nearly every day to drink your water. So on behalf of Rosie, remember to drink your water. And Representative Conrad, you have a privilege.
Mr. Speaker, privilege of the floor.
Please.
I want to share with you a vision statement. Specifically, that vision is to ensure that leaders have a deep self-knowledge and understanding of the state's communities and economic drivers and choose to lead with civility and respect. An incredible, honorable vision from my perspective. I'd like to welcome some dear friends of mine, specifically that are members of the class of 2024 Leadership Wyoming.
Leadership Wyoming, welcome to the House. My wife had the privilege of going through that program, and she still talks about it, talks about the relationships, talks about the lessons learned. You guys are the future, right? Most of us over here are all gray-haired. You guys aren't all gray-haired. I said most of us. Most of us. And in fact, I've even noticed a little bit of that on you, Mr. Chairman. But anyway, welcome. Learn what you can. Come back and help this body later sometime in life or immediately if you so choose to run. With that, next I'll go to Representative Heiner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privilege of the floor, if you wouldn't mind.
Please.
I would like to not only recognize Valentine's Day, but we have a birthday in the chamber today. I would like to have us all recognize our representative, very own Representative Rachel Rodriguez Williams. It's her birthday today.
Hey! Birthday to you. Birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rachel. Happy birthday to you. Chairman Brown. Okay, Representative Larson JT,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privilege of the floor.
please.
So in our North Gallery, ladies and gentlemen, we have two representatives from Western Wyoming Community College, Dr. Kim Dale, President, and Board Secretary Reggie Clark. Please welcome.
It's really nice to see somebody from my side of the state show up. So welcome to the House, Western Wyoming. Chairman Brown,
Mr. Speaker, privilege of the floor.
please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, gallery, over the past couple of days, they've been a little rough across this state with losing an officer in the line of duty yesterday up in Sheridan. Tragedy, unfortunately, has struck them close to home here, and we had a Army National Guard soldier was recently found deceased up in Vedauwoo. And, you know, it's one of those things that we don't know many details at this point, but she selflessly served this state and her country. And it's an incredible tragedy when we lose a life, period. But when we lose those that service this country the way that they do, I just felt like it was a needed message here to see if we could get just a brief moment of silence for Miss Sabrina Geller and her family, and recognize her passing and give thanks for her service to this state and this country.
Chairman Brown, it's always very poignant to remember people that just passed and the good that they do for us in this state. Good words. So now back to what we're doing. And I think that what that really is a gentle reminder of who we're doing this for, right? It's for those that have given their lives in service. It's for those they leave. It's for these children. It's for the future leadership people. So just keep in mind this as we go forward. And then my next little reminder is going to be a little more terse. And that is, the more you talk, I started to hear this sound at noon. And it was these little bills in this box I've got that were going, I'm dying, I'm dying. And so I would encourage you to talk less, say more, and we'll get through more of these good bills that we have in front of us. So with that, the next bill for our consideration is House Bill 92.
House Bill 92, sponsored by Representative Stitt.
First reading of the bill,
Protection of parental rights.
Representative Stitt.
Mr. Speaker, members, I move the introduction of House Bill 92 and ask for your favorable consideration. This is a parental rights bill that does two things. First, it clarifies that our existing parental rights statute applies not just to state agencies, but also to the courts. As you know, our existing parental rights statute says that the liberty interest of a parent in the care, custody, and control of their child is a fundamental right, and that if the state infringes on that right, it must do so only upon a compelling state interest and using the least restrictive means. In 2020, our highest court said that if the legislature had intended this bill to apply to the courts, it would have said so. So this bill, that was a surprise to me. This bill says so. The bill, literally, the literal language of the bill right now says it applies to a state agency, and the court intimated that it does not believe it's a state agency. As you look in your budget bill, you see it's Agency 101 and many agencies after that. So in any event, that's the first thing the bill does. The second thing this bill does is that it says this parental right applies to schools, so the K through 12 schools in communicating with parents regarding their children. And so that's broad language, but what's it do? What's one of the purposes? One of the purposes is to address an issue that came up in my district, in our school district locally, where the school district adopted a procedure that said if a student decided to change his or her pronoun and had a different chosen pronoun or different gender, that not only that was fine with the school, but more than that, the school teachers were instructed not to tell the parents. Okay. I thought that was wrong. And one of the things this bill would do would mean that school districts would need to keep parents informed of important issues regarding their children that affect the liberty interest of the parent in the care, custody, and control of their child. I ask for an aye vote.
Right on time. Representative Bear in the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Speaker. We worked on this last year, and I do appreciate the bringer of the bill for bringing a new effort. But I want everybody to understand this is a different effort in that it's missing a pretty considerable part of what passed the body on the other side of this building last year. I would ask the bringer to explain why the K through 3 portion of last year's bill is not included in this bill. I do think that that was important as well, because I had one of our members here ask me just last night, I believe it was, what can we do about teen pregnancies and things like that? And I said, you know what, it's really about protecting the family, and our policy needs to protect the family. This bill does that, and I am grateful that we might make some incremental change with this bill, but
Time. Representative Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I originally authored the parental rights, and I appreciate what our good colleague is doing here. I'm kind of torn about it because I believe that there are necessary things that ought to be happening. But the statute, the parental rights statute, actually is clear and it is in place. And I think this bill probably brings some judiciary problems into it. And with the schools, they should be following the current law. And I just creating another page on the green books doesn't solve it. They need to follow what's in law now.
Okay, I don't think there's enough time for anybody else, so 30 seconds back to the bringer.
Mr. Speaker, contrary to what was represented, this bill applies to all school children up until the age of 18. I want to be very, very clear about this. This applies until age 18. And what's more is, if you want a statute on the books that's dead and means nothing, that the courts have said, we are never going to enforce this, then vote no. But if you want us to tell the courts that when we pass a statute, we mean it, and they need to enforce it too, please vote aye. Thank you.
Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 92.
Allemand, Allred, Andrew, Angelos, excused, Banks, Bear, Berger, Brown, Burkhart, Byron, Chadwick, Chestick, Clouston, Conrad, I, Crago, Davis, Eklund, Haroldson, Harshman, Heiner, Henderson,
Excused.
Hornock, Jennings, Knapp, Larson Lloyd, Larson JT, Lawley, Locke, Nyman, Newsom, Nicholas, Nemec, Northrup,
Right.
Oakley, Obermueller, O'Hearn, Olson, Ottman, Pendergraft, Penn, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams, Sherwood, Singh, Slagle, Smith, Stiff, Storr, Strzok, Stivar, Tarver, Trujillo, Walters, Ward, Washut, Western, Winter, Wiley, Yin, Zwanitzer Dan, Zwanitzer Dave, Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Henderson, excused to aye. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 54 aye, 7 no, 1 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 92 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 4, Education. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 93.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No,
House Bill 93, sponsored by Representative Heiner.
first reading of the bill.
Animal Reimbursement Program, Account Amendments 2.
Now Representative Heiner.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. I was just so excited. I move House Bill 93 and ask for your favorable consideration. Wyoming was classified as a brucellosis-free state for nearly 20 years until the year 2004, when brucellosis was discovered in 2 Wyoming herds. Wyoming lost its brucellosis-free status, which subjected all of the 1.2 million head, and that's just an estimate, of cattle to be tested before they could be sold or shipped out of the state. So when an area loses its brucellosis-free status, it tends to be costly to the state's cattle industry because more thorough vaccinations and extensive testing must be done. Additionally, other states may refuse to accept Wyoming cattle. In the budget session of 2004, the Wyoming legislature appropriated $1.65 million for additional testing because we lost our brucellosis-free status. So what we have is in place is a program. It's got a corpus, and our board evaluates the cost to these ranchers and can award up to $25,000 to defray some of the costs for this brucellosis program that we have. They are running up to those limits with inflation and the cost of everything. And so we want to provide a mechanism to keep that program going, because it can be very costly to our livestock industry and also to the state if we lose our brucellosis-free status. False positive tests can occur and require cattle that are tested and give a suspicious reaction to an official blood test are sometimes required to be quarantined. Depending on the time of the year, this forced quarantine could be very costly to livestock producers. Many of you received an email from a rancher this morning. He had 3 cows in his 400 head herd that tested positive. He is quarantined for 1 year. After only 2 months, he blew through that $25,000. Now recognize he's not reimbursed dollar for dollar. It's about 60% gets reimbursed. He's carrying the other 40%.
Time. Representative Yin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I have 2 questions. Is this going to actually limit the number of quarantines we'll be able to reimburse if we up the number? So I guess the question really is, how much is left in this quarantine account, or how much do we fund this quarantine account where $50,000 is a twice increase? Are we having the number of quarantines we'll be able to cover? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Would anybody else like to speak against the bill? Not, Representative Heiner, for your 30 seconds.
Thank you. That corpus has $560,000 in it. We typically have 2 to 3 cases a year, so it will be good for a number of years. And a quote from my rancher: disease is not the scary part. It's the quarantine that is more difficult and has real likelihood of putting a ranch out of business. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 93.
Allemand, Allred, Andrew, Angelos, excused, Banks, Bear, Berger, Brown, Burkhart, Byron, Chadwick, Chestick, Plouston, Conrad, Crago, Davis, Eklund, Haroldson, Harshman, Heiner, Henderson, Hornock, Jennings, Knapp, Larson Lloyd, Larson JT, Lawley, Locke, Nyman, Newsom, Nicholas, Nemec, Northrop, Oakley, Obermueller, O'Hearn, Olson, Ottman, Pendergraft, Penn, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams, Sherwood, Singh, Slagle, Smith, Stith, Storer, Strock, Stivar, Tarver, Trujillo, Walters, Ward, Washut, Western, Winter, Wiley, Yin, Zwanitzer Dan, Zwanitzer Dave, Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 61 aye, 1 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 93 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 5, Agriculture. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 102.
House Bill 102, sponsored by Representative Bear.
First reading of the bill.
School safety and security amendments.
Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 102 for introduction and request your favorable consideration of this bill. This bill takes a novel approach to getting citizens involved in local government. In 2017, this body passed an act that allows for local school districts to institute a program for arming staff members in an effort to protect our most precious asset, our children. Since this body approved this measure, only 4 of our 48 school districts have taken action on it. As we see a continued increase in evil actors in our country, we can only expect this to impact our great state in some point in the future. This is something we must prepare for and hopefully avoid because of that preparation. This bill does 2 things. It appropriates a $100,000 fund to the department that it administrates over our education. It also, that fund funds a program to educate the populace about this act and encourage them to go to their local school boards if they want to see this happen. What could be better than that type of local control and local citizen involvement? So again, this is an advertising program to encourage just that. The second thing that it does is it requires that the school district inform the department exactly why they have or have not implemented a program. Making this information available to the public is the best example of transparency I can think of. In my district, they have implemented the program, but in a limited way, simply for our rural schools, with the expectation after having no incidents to go ahead and advance that to the rest of the schools.
Time. Chairman Zwanitzer in the opposition.
Thanks. I just want to make sure I understand this, Mr. Speaker. You want to give $100,000 of taxpayer money to a state agency to have them lobby our own citizens. No, to have them educate and market to our own citizens to lobby their locally elected school boards? That's not a novel approach. That's not a word I can say. For the first part of the bill, I guess I would say you don't need to send a letter to the Department of Education. I can tell you right now, nobody has an extra $1 million to $5 million to cover the insurance costs of allowing those firearms in school. So a certified letter is great. And then my third issue is if you don't like Section 1 or Section 2 and they can be found unconstitutional, the other one still stands. These are all very different initiatives than we've ever done in the legislature before, and saying we might have a section unconstitutional, but everything else still flows. So I have issues, as you can tell, all over this bill, but I don't think we want to start
Just remember, we don't ever want to say those words. We don't ever need to even say didn't need to say those words. So Representative Conrad.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. To the bringer of the bill, just a clarifying question too, in fact, is the superintendent of education on board? And then secondly, what happens to the data that she receives based on the failure to allow this to happen? Thank you.
We still have time. Chairman North.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that $100,000 would give $1,000 raise to 100 teachers. That's what that money could do. Thank you.
All right, I think we're down to 38 seconds. Does anybody want a chairman? Nope, we're good. All right, Representative Bear, 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The answer to the question is yes, the superintendent is on board with this and prepared to administer this. The information that is collected would be made available to the public for that very purpose, so that people in the school district would know exactly what their trustees have determined and why, so that they can make a good decision about approaching that board. And so with that, I ask for your favorable consideration for this bill. Thank you.
Perfect timing. Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 102.
Allemande, Allred, Andrew, Angelos, excused, Banks, Bear, Berger, Brown, Burkhart, sorry, aye. Byron, Chadwick, Chestick, Clauston, Conrad, Prego, Davis, Eklund, Haroldson, Harshman, Heiner. Thank you. Henderson, Hornock, Jennings, Knapp, Larson Lloyd, Larson JT, Lawley, Locke, Nyman, Newsom, Nicholas, Nemec, Northrop, Oakley, Obermueller, O'Hearn, Olson, Ottman, Pendergraft, Penn, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams, Sherwood, Singh, Slagle, Smith, Stiff, Storer, Strock, Stivar, Tarver, Trujillo, Walters, Ward, Washut, Western, Winter, Wiley, Yin, Zwanitzer Dan, Zwanitzer Dave, Speaker Summers.
No.
Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 35 aye, 26 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 102 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 166.
House Bill 166, sponsored by Representative Clauston.
First reading of the bill.
Education Savings Account 1.
Representative Clauston.
Mr. Speaker, I move House Bill 166 and I ask for your favorable consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, this ESA bill is similar to House Bill 19 that failed by 1 vote on Monday. In this bill today, I bring 2 changes that I think make this a better bill for Wyoming. The first change is eliminating 3-year-olds from the preschool qualification. We heard from kindergarten teachers, many of our kindergartners show up and they're far behind their peers. I think 1 year of preschool education should be sufficient to catch these kids up. Our teachers tell us when these kids show up so far behind their peers, they're expending lots of time and resources to the detriment of the other kids that are ready for preschool. The second part of my bill that makes a major change is changing the income levels of this bill. The original bill had $5,000 available to families at the 250% level of poverty level or below. I've added two more tiers that will make this funding for our Wyoming families available to 90% of Wyoming. So those at 350 to 250 would receive $3,000, and those from 350 to 400% of poverty would receive $1,000. Last summer in Minnesota, I sat at a roundtable discussion on states that have implemented ESAs. And they talked about what they did right and what they did wrong. Their biggest advice was not to open the floodgates. And I have a note there that says, this is not the southern border. Their advice was to make sure that the department can effectively and responsibly implement and manage this program, and then reassess how the program is working in a few years. Representatives, this ESA bill has been heavily studied and negotiated in this body and in committee. This bill may not be perfect, but is a good compromise. Please vote yes to send this bill to committee. Let's fund our Wyoming families and give these families some of the choices they've been asking for. Thank you.
Would anybody like to speak in opposition to this bill? Representative Bear.
While I do not find this bill very palatable because of the preschool piece, it is incrementally moving away from that direction. I am hopeful that we can amend that piece out of the bill at a later time, but I would encourage a vote for this bill. Thank you.
We're only supposed to provide comment in opposition to the bill, Representative Bear. We won't do that again. All right, anybody else in opposition to the bill? Not, Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 166.
Allemand, Allred, Andrew, Angelos, excused, Banks, Bear, Berger, Brown, Burkhart, Byron, Chadwick, Chestick, Plouston, Conrad, Crago, Davis, Eklund, Haroldson, Harshman, Heiner, Henderson, Hornock, Jennings, Knapp, Larson Lloyd, Larson JT, Lawley, Locke, Nyman, Newsom, Nicholas, Nemec, Northrop, Oakley, Obermueller, O'Hearn, Olson, Ottman, Pendergraft, Penn, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams, Sherwood, Singh, Slagle, Smith, Stiff, Storr, Strock, Stivar, Tarver, Trujillo, Walters, Ward, Washut, Western, Winter, Wiley, Yin, Zwanitzer Dan, Zwanitzer Dave, Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 51 aye, 10 no, 1 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 166 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 4, Education. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 105.
House Bill 105, sponsored by Representative Slagle.
First reading of the bill.
Insurance payments not taxable.
Representative Slagle.
Mr. Speaker, I move House Bill 105 and ask for your favorable consideration. This is a bill, insurance payments not taxable. It's an act relating to taxation and revenue exempting insurance damage payments from sales and use taxation and providing for an effective date. Basically, what this bill does, if you have an accident, wreck your vehicle, and then go to get an insurance payment on that vehicle, go to go to pay your taxes, the payment from the insurance portion will be exempted from your payment. And so you won't have to be taxed twice on the payment. It'd be the same as if you took a used vehicle to a car lot, traded in for your new vehicle. Only this one, you've got the insurance company making a payment for your damaged vehicle. Thank you for your time.
Would anybody like to speak against this bill? Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 105.
Alderman. Allred. Andrew. Angelos excused. Banks. Bear. Berger. Burkhart. Oh, I'm sorry, Brown. Brown. Burkhart. Byron. Chadwick. Chestick. Clauston. Conrad. Craigo. Davis. Eklund. Harrelson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Warnock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman. Newsom. Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermuller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith. Stiff. Store. Strzok. Stivar. Tarver. Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washut. Western. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Zwanitzer Dan. Zwanitzer Dave. Speaker Summers. Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 35 aye, 26 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 105 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 108.
House Bill 108, sponsored by Representative Zawinitzer Dan.
First reading of the bill.
Protection of healthcare providers.
Chairman Zwanitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd move House Bill 108, Protection of Healthcare Providers. You all remember seeing this bill last year. It failed by 3 votes in this body. But I am bringing it in again because it remains one of the most serious issues for our hospitals, our healthcare workers, and our economic development in this state, as we have a severe shortage of healthcare providers. And we do remain the second fastest aging state now for the 3rd year in a row, meaning we have more older people who require more care, so we need more staff, and we don't have enough right now. Let me again and again and again remind you, Wyoming is the only state that has no additional protections for our healthcare workers. I'll also remind you the number and frequency of attacks on our healthcare workers outpaces all other workers in all other industries in our state. They're 5 times more likely to be attacked at work than any other profession. And again, when a healthcare worker is attacked by patients or visitors, the harm caused extends further than just that victim, other patients. Under federal guidelines, if you have to treat a patient that comes in. So even if you are attacked, you have to continue to care for that patient, or another healthcare worker who knows you were attacked has to come in and care for that patient. We did take all the language out from last year on statistics and data collection, et cetera. So it's a pretty straightforward bill this year. I wasn't going to bring it, but that group of high school students from Cody who comes down will be here next week, lobbying this as their top priority. So if you would get it off introduction today, you'll be extensively lobbied by our future workforce next week. Again, the associations that represent hospitals, nurses, economic development, doctors are all asking for your introductory vote because again, we are the only state left that doesn't have these protections. And when the workforce shortage looks around to try to acquire healthcare workers to Wyoming, being the only state that doesn't give them the same protections other states have is a hurt to our economic viability.
Oh, man, that was right on the nose. Representative Ward in the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a question to the good chairman. Would he consider it a friendly amendment to require people who hurt healthcare workers to pay their own medical bills?
Would anybody else like to speak in opposition? Oh, Representative Ottman, you and I suffer from the same disadvantage. My apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is just a comment on this because I know this is a topic that is near and dear to all of us, partially as we're aging, but partially because of the care that we want to give. But I'm wondering if this puts the aging especially not only into a profiling situation, but also I'm wondering about Alzheimer's. I know the Alzheimer's units can get extremely violent. I had a daughter that worked there, and while she loved working there and helping the people, it was very, very difficult very often. So if you could just address that, thank you.
Still have some time. Representative Rodriguez Williams, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In opposition of the bill, we've heard this type of bill before, creates a special class. I don't know where it will end. In previous years, we've heard testimony from umpires, referees, all sorts of different teachers, different classes that will end up asking for protection as well. And so I'll be a no vote.
We still got 30 seconds. Looks like nobody at the mics. So 30 seconds back at you, Chairman's wants.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So to the good representative from Fremont County's question, no, you have to have intention. So if you're suffering from mental illness, dementia, et cetera, it's not a prosecutable offense. However, if you're intoxicated, just like drunk driving, you are liable. For the good representative from Casper's question, people are hurt, scared, in pain. And so this bill isn't really to punish them, but we could look at something where if it's a smaller level amount of care, like an ER visit, perhaps that would be a great idea. So not opposed to that amendment. And again, I would tell you that your medical community does not believe additional protections make this some type of special class, right? This is a proportional response to harm.
All right, Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 108.
Allemand,
No.
Allred, Andrew, Angelos, excused, Banks,
Aye.
Bear, Berger, Brown, Burkhart, Byron, Chadwick, Chestick, Klauston, Conrad, Craigo, Davis, Eklund, Haroldson, Harshman, Heiner,
No.
Henderson, Hornock,
No.
Jennings, Knapp, Larson Lloyd, Larson JT, Lawley, Locke,
No.
Nyman, repeat, Newsom, Nicholas, Nemec, Northrop, Oakley, Obermuller, O'Hearn, Olson, Ottman, Pendergraft, Penn, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams,
No.
Sherwood, Singh, Slagle, Smith, Stith, Storer, Strock, Stivart,
No.
Tarver,
No.
Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washit. Western. Winter.
No.
Wiley. Yin. Zwaniter Dan. Zwaniter Dave. Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 41 aye, 20 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 108 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 113.
House Bill 113, sponsored by Representative Henderson.
First reading of the bill.
Hathaway Scholarship Program.
Representative Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 113, Hathaway Scholarship Program, and ask for your favorable consideration. Friends, this program started in 2006. And since it started, it's had one increase. That was 10 years ago in 2014. What this bill does is it provides a increase of 5%, which amounts to an incremental increase estimated $592,000. The fund, and the key thing to remember here, is that the money required for this comes from the expenditure account, so there's no new money. But the fund averages about 17.3 million a year. And over the next 3 years, it's going to be 23.3 and so on up over the next 3 years. So considerably enough to cover the cost. Why I brought this bill is I've had several parents and students who are off on their own who've asked me and told me that it costs about $8,000 in one case. The parent said to send their son to the university. And so it's been 10 years. I think it's worthy of conversation. I'd ask for your favorable consideration. Stand by for any opposition. Thank you.
Would anybody like to speak in opposition to this? Chief Clerk, please call a roll on House Bill 113.
Allemande.
No.
Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks. Bear. Berger. Brown. Burkhart. Byron. Chadwick. Chestick. Clauston. Conrad. Prego. Davis. Eklund. Harrelson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Hornock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman. Newsom. 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 Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermueller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith. Stiff. Storr. Strock. Stivart.
No.
Tarver. Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washit. Western. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Zwaniter Dan. Zwaniter Dave. Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 40 aye, 21 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 113 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 116.
House Bill 116, sponsored by Representative Angelos.
First reading of the bill.
Sage grouse implementation, notice to landowners.
Representative Crego.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 116 and ask for the body's favorable consideration. And hopefully we can keep this bill moving forward for our good colleague from House District 3 until she's able to get back and do it herself. During this last summer, between our last session and now, there were some issues that came about as part of revising our core area for sage grouse. And as part of that, we learned that there really isn't a good notice provision in the statute regarding the SIGIT or the sage grouse implementation team. And so all this bill does is put in some notice requirements to the landowners that are affected by the proposed changes to the core area. Also provides for a meeting opportunity to be had before the final decision is made by the chief executive. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody in opposition? Chief Clerk, please call a roll on House Bill 116.
Alaman, Allred, Andrew, Angelos, excused, Banks, Bear, Berger, Brown, Burkhart, Byron, Chadwick, Chestick, Clauston, Conrad, Prego, Davis, Eklund, Haroldson, Harshman, Heiner, Henderson, Hornock, Jennings, Knapp, Larson Lloyd, Larson JT, Lawley, Locke, Nyman, Newsom, Nicholas, Nemec, Northrop, Oakley, Obermueller, O'Hearn, Olson, Ottman, Pendergraft, Penn, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams, Sherwood, Singh, Slagle, Smith, Stiff, Storer, Strock, Stivar, Tarver, Trujillo, Walters, Ward, Washut, Western, Winter, Wiley, Yin, Zwanitzer Dan, Zwanitzer Dave, Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 61 aye, 1 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 116 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 5, Agriculture. The next bill for our consideration is House Joint Resolution 4.
House Joint Resolution 4, sponsored by Representative Chestick.
First reading of the bill.
Right of healthcare access, constitutional amendment.
Representative Chestick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move introduction of House Joint Resolution HJ 4. At the founding of the state, the people of Wyoming adopted Article 1 of our Constitution. Article 1 of our Constitution is a declaration of rights where the people claim their rights to be protected from the government. There's 37, their original bill was 37 statements of freedom. Claimed there's a freedom for religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of association and assembly, a right to bear arms. These are all rights that are claimed in Article 1 section of the Wyoming Constitution. In 2012, a 38th right was inserted into the Constitution by the voters. It was the right, and by the way, none of those rights, the 37, none of them have strings attached. They are simply declarations of rights that the citizens have. In 2012, we added the right to make, for individuals to make their own personal healthcare choices. The difference is that one has a string attached to it. Section C of Article 1, Section 38 says the people have the right unless the legislature declares otherwise. There's a string attached to it. for a reasonable and necessary exception, whatever that means. It's a very vague standard, but it's a string. And if the legislature can take away the right, it's not a right. It's a privilege. All my bill does is it proposes to repeal Section C of that act to return the right of healthcare choice making to the people, and make it a real right and not just a privilege. This this bill simply is an attempt to claim individual freedom to make choices that's unrestrained and protect ourselves from the government. So I ask your favorable consideration for this. Thank you.
Representative Ward in the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Abortion is not healthcare. Thank you.
Representative Conrad.
Mr. Speaker, to the bringer of the bill, just a question as we eliminate or propose to eliminate Section C. Has there been an instance or instances where healthcare has been denied based on the current section that you pointed out, Section 38, Section C? Thank you.
We still have time. Anybody else? Representative Oakley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We all understand the importance of healthcare, but when you start calling it a right, it feels like you're compelling healthcare workers. So if you want to address that, but it's a different thing when you start calling it a right.
We still got time. Representative Rodriguez Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I urge a no vote on this bill. This is a ploy by the minority party to legalize abortion in Wyoming. I urge a no vote.
So we try not to say party at the mic, and you know, we're not going to accuse any faction in here of doing anything. So that includes you saying minority party. We still have time. Representative Block.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And just real quickly, I just don't want to make sure we are clear. A right isn't something that as soon as it starts to breach the fact that someone may have to pay, it's not a right if there's any expense to anybody else. And if it breaches that, it certainly isn't a right.
All right. We still have 29 seconds. Anybody else? All right. Representative Chestic, back to you. 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To address the question from the representative from Riverson, the right is not the right to health care, but the right to make decisions about your own health care. That is a right that we are claiming here. As to the question about whether this is a backdoor effort to legalize abortion, this amendment would not cover only abortion, but also open up space for protection of end-of-life choices, vaccine choices, and other types of choices that are healthcare related would also be left to the people. Thank you.
Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Joint Resolution 4.
Allemand.
No.
Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks. Bear.
No.
Berger. Brown. Burkhart. Byron. Chadwick. Chestic. Halston. Conrad.
No.
Craigo. Davis.
No.
Eklund. Haroldson. Harshman. Heiner.
No.
Henderson. Hornock. Jennings. Knapp.
No.
Larson Lloyd. Larson JT.
No.
Lawley.
No.
Locke.
No.
Nyman.
No.
Newsom.
No.
Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermueller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft.
No.
Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams.
No.
Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith? Stiff? Storer? Struck? No. Stivart?
No.
Tarver? Trujillo? Walters? Lord? No. Washut? Western? Winter? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Swanitzer Dan? Swanitzer Dave? Speaker Summers?
No.
Are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote? Vote closed. 7 aye, 54 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Joint Resolution 4 has failed introduction. And just an explanation of what I said to the good opposer of that bill. We don't try to impugn others' thoughts. We talk about the subject itself. So we have two representatives, let's say A and B, and you can't say, well, he believes this. It's up to him to believe that and state that. You need to talk about what the bill does, not about what the people's intentions are that are bringing the bill. And if I'm not consistent on that, remind me. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 125.
House Bill 125, sponsored by Representative Haroldson.
First reading of the bill.
Repeal gun-free zones and preemption amendments.
Representative Haroldson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 125 and ask for your favorable consideration. Article 1, Section 24 of the Wyoming Constitution states the right of citizens to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state shall not be denied. And it goes further under our U.S. Constitution in the Second Amendment. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And there's a court hearing that we saw in 1995 that stated that U.S. Congress, in enacting the legislation for the Federal Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1990 was unconstitutional, and because it breached Commerce Clause and was not a constitutional movement. The idea of gun-free zones, you guys, pretty much in their entirety opens up the opportunity for soft zones for crime. If we look at it, 94% of mass shootings, and I've seen all the way up to 98% of mass shootings happen in gun-free zones. Why? Because killers don't want bullets fired back. That's the end of the story. We see that 81% of police, when polled, agree that teachers and staff should be armed in school. It's the easiest way to protect our kids, they say. They said at the end of the day, by the time you call the police, it's too late. We get to see too that every time that we see a school shooting, it happens in a school without guns. We've not had a single school shooting in a school that's been armed. And I don't think it's coincidence that we see that. So the bill that we have in front of us today gives us an opportunity to open this up and have that conversation. Have the conversation, should we have gun-free zones in the state of Wyoming? And if so, what should they look like? And I believe at this point, this is a constitutional issue. I believe that we're asking the question, shall we take and remove people's rights under their Second Amendment federally and then our Article 1, Section 24?
Time.
Thank you.
Representative Newsom in the opposition.
Thank you so much. So just a question for the bringer that I posed to him when I first saw this bill. In my community, our teachers are armed. And so what happens when a citizen that is armed comes into our schools and is seen as the bad guy, or the guy coming in with armed sees a teacher that's armed, do they think that's the bad guy? So in practical terms, what do we do in cases where our teachers are armed in our schools? And how do we protect both sides of that? Are you open to an amendment that would do that, I guess is a question.
Anybody else? Representative Stiff. We
Mr.
still have
Speaker.
some time.
Mr. Speaker, just a question. I see this proposed bill would require or allow guns in the legislature, but it's my understanding that the bill would still allow the prohibition of guns in a courtroom. Is that the case, that guns under this bill would still be banned in courthouses and courtrooms?
We still have time. Representative Chairman Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a question. 18-year-olds can get concealed carry. Now, how does this apply to 18-year-old students in high school? That's right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any, we have a little more time. Representative Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Quick question, page 3, line 11. It prohibits a private property owner from restricting firearms on his private property. We value private property rights pretty highly here in Wyoming. Please explain that.
Still have 40 seconds. Looks like we're out of wind. Representative Haroldson, back to you for 30 seconds.
Thank you very much. So to dive right in, we can definitely have a conversation about how that's going to work in our schools. Absolutely, we have to. That's why we're doing this. We have to have the conversation of what this would look like. Training, the teachers' training should be a very good thing in those situations, but we definitely can have that conversation. Yes, courthouses, courtrooms, that is still something, and as well as correctional facilities. 18-year-olds cannot get a concealed carry permit unless we bring out another bill that I have coming up. But that has that where students cannot carry in their.
Time. Got in a plug on another bill as to boot in 30 seconds. All right, Chief Clerk, please call a roll on House Bill 125.
Allemande. Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks. Bear. Berger. Brown. Burkhart. Byron. Chadwick. Chestick.
No.
Klauston. Conrad. Crago. Davis. Eklund. Haroldson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Hornock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman. Newsom. Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermuller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith. Stipp. Storer. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Trujillo. Walters. Walters.
Excused.
Ward.
Somebody go track him down.
Washut. Western. Winter. Wiley. Wiley. Yin. Zwaniter Dan. Zwaniter Dave. Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Walters.
Excused.
Are there any changes? Ottman? No. Closing vote. Vote closed. 53 aye, 7 no, 2 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 125 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 1 Judiciary. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 125.
126.
Oh, I'm sorry, 126.
House Bill 126, sponsored by Representative Yin.
First reading of the bill.
Childcare is a residential use of property.
You've heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure, Mr. Minority Floor Leader?
Mr. Chairman, I move House Bill 126 and ask for your favorable consideration
Members, this is what we call a simple little bill. Its use is right in the title. Childcare is a residential use of property. It's falling under the covenant section because the desire here is to ensure that you have access to use the property for childcare. It is a residential use of property, that it's part of your choice as a parent to be able to take care of other kids. And so it lets you run both the licensed version and the unlicensed version that we had in the bill that passed the previous year, of up to 15 people, which is the maximum that we allow in rules anyways. That's really all it is. An example could be a covenant that prevented a private business to be in a home. What we want to say is that childcare is distinctly different. It is a residential use of property, and that's all it does. And with that, I will ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Minority Floor Leader. Would anybody like to speak in opposition to the measure? Any member? Seeing none, Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Allemande. Allred. I'm sorry, Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Berger. Brown. Burkhart. Byron. Chadwick. Chestick. Clauston. Conrad. Crago. Davis. Eklund. Haroldson. Haroldson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Hornock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman. Newsom. Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Northrop. Oakley. Obermueller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith. Stiff. Storer. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washit. Western. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Zwaniter Dan. Zwaniter Dave. Speaker Summers. Are there any changes? Any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 59 aye, 1 no, 2 excused.
Having received an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members of the House of Representatives, House Bill 126 has passed the House. That bill is referred to Committee Number 7, Corporations. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 129. The reading clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 129, sponsored by Representative Pendergraft.
First reading of the bill.
Statutory Standing Committees, Federal Review.
You've heard the reading. What is your pleasure, Representative Pendergraft?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 129 for introduction, and I ask for your favorable consideration. I ran a similar bill last year, which garnered almost universal agreement in principle, but with objection by many that the scope was far too broad. Nearly everyone I spoke to, however, agrees that there is federal overreach virtually everywhere we turn. This bill would create a standing committee to address federal overreach, such as we saw recently in Rock Springs, the ever-growing encroachment into our Second Amendment rights, and on and on. Well, I don't like expanding government if we don't task some specifically with this task and arm them with the tools such as a plan for nullification. That task becomes much more difficult and less successful. The changes here in this bill change the task from addressing all federal overreach to any and then gives the management council of this body the discretion to select those topics. This is much more in keeping with the rules and the traditions of this body. This bill would go into effect immediately, but would not require the assignment of a committee until the 68th legislature is seated and committees assigned thereto. If, however, in the interim, a crisis arose, there would be a framework already in place for us to address an acute issue. At some point, we must offer pushback. We must stand up for our rights as a sovereign state to continue to enjoy the liberty and the lifestyle that we all love here in Wyoming. Wyoming is what America was and should be again. We can lead the way.
About 10 seconds left. Well done, Representative Pendergraft. Anybody in opposition? Representative Newsom.
Just a question for the bringer. So I guess, have you researched the difference between a standing committee and a select committee? We have several select committees that tend to take on things as they come up, rather than having a standing committee that would meet every week and have interim meetings and all that. Thank you.
Got about 15 seconds left. Representative Oakley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am for no more committees.
Representative Craigo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question for the bringer of the bill. Isn't this something we can do through the committees that already exist? Address each of these issues in the specific area that those committees are intentionally created for?
Got about 20 seconds left. Representative Brown, Chairman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just say, I think this is a novel idea if we're actually going to recognize and respect the work that our committees do, but it seems like we might not have done that over the past of the 2 to 3 days. So on and against.
Chairman Brown, let's please refrain from those kind of remarks. Thank you. We have 1 minute left. Representative Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Has the bringer considered whether in federal law, we as a state legislature have standing to comment on their and impact their things that they bring forward?
Got about 40 seconds left. Anybody else in opposition? Seeing none, Representative Pendergraft, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As for the question of select versus standing committees, I believe there are enough instances of federal overreach with a little bit to completely fill the time of a standing committee. As for the committees that exist, I will admit that there was some action taken just recently on this issue in Rock Springs. I feel, though, that if you were able to equip a standing committee.
Thank you very much, Representative Pendergraft. Time is up.
Thank you.
Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
House Bill 129, Allemand. Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks. Bear. Berger. Brown. Burkhart. Byron.
No.
Chadwick. Chestick. Klauston. Conrad. Craigo. Davis. Davis.
Excused.
Eklund. Haroldson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Warnock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman. Newsom. Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermuller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza? Rodriguez Williams? Sherwood? Singh? Slagle? Smith? Stiff? Storer? Strock? Stivar? Tarver? Trujillo? Walters? Ward? Washit? Western? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Swanitzer Dan? Swanitzer Dave? Speaker Summers? Are there any changes? Davis, excused to no? Heiner? No to aye? Further changes? Closing vote? Vote closed. 25 aye, 36 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 129 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 139.
House Bill 139, sponsored by Representative Winter.
First reading of the bill.
Denturist Practice Act.
Representative Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 139 and ask for your favorable consideration. This bill will amend the dentists and dental hygienists licensing statutes to include denturists, thus authorizing a denturist to be added to the Board of Dental Examiners. Denturists shall only perform dental laboratory work at the direction of a dentist. I can attest to the benefits of an on-duty denturist where he can save the dentist in charge a great deal of time in their everyday duties. An appropriation of $18,000 is made to cover administrative costs to implement the bill.
Would anybody like to speak in opposition to this bill? Chief Clerk, please call a roll on House Bill 139.
Allemande? Allred? Andrew? Angelos, excused. Banks? Bear? Berger? Brown? Burkhart? Byron? Chadwick? Chestick? Clouston? Conrad? Crago? Davis? Eklund? Haroldson? Harshman? Heiner?
Aye.
Henderson? Hornock? Jennings? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Lawley? Locke? Nyman? Newsom? Nicholas? Nemec? Northrop? Oakley? Obermueller? O'Hearn? Olson? Ottman? Pendergraft? Penn? Provenza? Rodriguez Williams? Sherwood? Singh? Slagle? Smith? Stiff? Storer? Strock? Stivar? Carver? Trujillo? Walters? Ward? Washit? Western? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Swanitzer Dan? Swanitzer Dave? Speaker Summers?
Aye.
Are there any changes? Closing vote? Vote closed. 31 aye, 30 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 139 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 141.
House Bill 141, sponsored by Representative Western.
First reading of the bill.
State land, oil, and gas leases, operator requirement.
Representative Western.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 141 and ask for your favorable consideration on an introductory vote. Really, all the meat and bones of this is on page 2. Basically directs the director of the office that manages our state lands and the board when they're going through an oil and gas lease to evaluate the highest bidder. If that is from a qualified bidder, AKA an oil and gas company, they're to accept it. But the language that's important to pay attention here really starts on page 8. If the highest bidder is not a qualified bidder, then the board shall consider the second highest bidder to determine whether that bidder is a qualified applicant, upon which the board may issue the lease if the applicant agrees to lease the lands for the highest amount bid before the disqualified applicant enters the lease auction process, or for the amount of the second highest bidder bid, whichever is lower. So obviously that's kind of literally how
Clock
what
running.
the legislation does. But the reason that is here is
He's
because we've had
amended
some
into it.
issues where environmental organizations have been bidding on oil and gas leases for state oil and gas leases. And ultimately, these aren't oil and gas companies. We want to lease oil and gas rights to oil and gas companies. I certainly appreciate the approach of some of these folks, but at the end of the day, this is one of our core industries and we need to ensure that they are the ones that are engaging in this practice. So if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Hornock in opposition.
More of a question, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Qualified. How do you define qualified? Who determines that? Small companies can team up with big companies and then turn things over to small companies. There's a lot of ways around that qualified type of thing. So I'm just very curious, who would determine that? How is that managed to make sure that we do have the people that run the wells are actually the ones that are qualified? Or sometimes some small guy wants to jump in the market and he becomes qualified. He gets better. So just really curious about how to determine all that.
Representative Bear, there's still time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question for the bringer. This bill talks about promulgating rules, and I'm curious again on the qualified question. I'm assuming based on your description of the bill that qualification would be based on the bidder being an actual oil and gas company. So my question is, would you be amiable to putting that in the bill so that it's not based on promulgating rules rather than being in the bill?
Anybody else in opposition? Doesn't look like it. Representative Western for your 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the gentleman from the capital city, right there, it says that the Board of Land Commissioners, which is the governing body of all the leases on state lands, shall promulgate all rules necessary, including and definitions, including qualified bidder. They've already got regs on the books to say an oil and gas company, whether you're big, whether you're small. To the gentleman from Coal Country, I'm certainly open to it. There's many ways to achieve the same objective. There's already language in statute that clearly shows an oil and gas conservation commissioner, the organization that regulates that. Thank you.
Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 141.
Ellerman. Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks. Bear. Berger. Brown. Burkhart. Byron. Chadwick. Chestick. Klauston. Conrad. Crago. Davis. Eklund. Harrelson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Hornock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman. Newsom. Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermuller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith. Stiff. Storer. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washut. Western. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Swanitzer Dan. Swanitzer Dave. Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 55 aye, 6 no, 1 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 141 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 9, Minerals. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 142.
House Bill 142, sponsored by Representative Provenza.
First reading of the bill.
Peace Officers Standards and Training Commission funding.
Representative Provenza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill funds the commission that trains our law enforcement. The summer committee number 1 toured the training academy and got to visit with the commission and realized that they're severely underfunded and we need to find a mechanism to ensure that despite politics or whatever else, that we are funding them accurately and appropriately. What POST does is they do standards and training for law enforcement. They host the academy. One of the concerns that came up during our conversations with POST was that counties and municipalities are having to pay out of pocket for some of the services that they need, which ends up resulting in them not being able to potentially send new officers to the academy. So this would help kind of fund some of this, the commission, with a $1 fee, but, that's all I'm gonna say for now, I guess. Bonnie, thank you very much. I'll answer any questions that you have.
Representative Stivar in the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That $1 fee is on commercial vehicles? Is that the way I'm understanding that? And is that all commercial vehicles?
There is more time. Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to share with the body that I have gotten a ton of complaints from my constituents about our registration fees. And here we are adding again to them. I think we should find a different vehicle if there's truly a need for funding this, other than raising costs for our constituents.
All right, better get back to work here. Anybody else in opposition? If not, Chief Clerk, please call the roll on. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Let's go 30 seconds back to Representative Provenza. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I will say, I believe our constituents do want to fund law enforcement and support that they are trained well and are certified well. So yes, this is a fee on license plates, $1.
Chief Clerk, now let's please call the roll on House Bill 142.
Allemand.
No.
Allred. Andrew. Angelos excused. Banks.
No.
Bear.
No.
Berger. Brown. Burkhart.
No.
Byron. Chadwick. Chestick. Clouston. Conrad.
Aye.
Prego. Davis.
No.
Eklund. Harrelson.
No.
Harshman. Heiner.
No.
Henderson. Hornock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke.
No.
Nyman. Newsom.
No.
Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop, Oakley, Obermuller, O'Hearn, Olson.
Aye.
Ottman. I'm sorry, Ottman? No. Pendergraft,
No.
Penn, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams, Sherwood, Singh,
Aye.
Slagle,
No.
Smith,
No.
Stiff, Storer, Strock.
No.
Stivart,
No.
Tarver, Trujillo, Walters, Ward, Washut, Western, Winter,
No.
Wiley,
No.
Yin, Swanser Dan, Swanser Dave, Speaker Summers.
No.
Are there any changes? Harshman, aye to no. Crago, aye to no. Berger, aye to no. Further changes? Henderson? Aye to no. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 19 aye, 42 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 142 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 143.
House Bill 143, sponsored by Representative Olson.
First reading of the bill.
Practice of behavior analyst and technician family members.
Chairman Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 143 and do ask for your favorable consideration in introducing this bill. This bill simply helps autistic children in Wyoming. As a father of a child diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, I am privileged and honored to bring you this bill. This bill empowers parents to take an active role in their autistic child's applied behavior analysis therapy and improve their quality of life. Sources estimate that there are between 3,750 and 5,000 children in Wyoming with autism spectrum disorder that are eligible for ABA therapy. In Wyoming, we have only 66 registered behavioral technicians to administer ABA therapy to Wyoming children. Unfortunately, this means there are just not enough behavioral technicians to provide ABA services to ASD children, especially in rural areas of the state. This bill simply allows family members or caregivers to register as behavioral technicians to provide ABA therapy to their own child or family member. The family member or caregiver will be required to complete all of the same training, certification, and registration as a traditional behavioral technician. The family member or caregiver will also be supervised by a board-certified behavioral analyst, just like traditional registered behavioral technicians. Simply put, this bill will allow more families to access ABA therapy regardless of their location or income. I appreciate your support and ask for your introduction vote.
Would anybody like to speak in opposition? Representative Stivart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and against. As a parent of an older child that's been in, had 9 long-term residential, we listened to the experts. We did what they told us to do. Why school teachers and caregivers are not mental health professionals, even with the training, on and against.
Anybody else on the opposition? Not, Chairman Olson for your 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, just to bring it home, there are simply not enough care providers in Wyoming, technicians to provide the care. It's a 66-to-1 ratio. This bill just allows family members to take care of their own children by getting the certification or the training necessary to be able to take care of their own child. I think it's a pretty common sense bill. If you want to help autistic children in Wyoming, then you want this bill. Thank you.
Chief Clerk, please call a roll on House Bill 143.
Elleman. Allred. Andrew. Angelos excused. Banks? Bear? Berger? Brown? Burkhart? Byron? Chadwick? Chestick? Clausen? Conrad? Crago? Davis? Eklund? Haroldson? Harshman? Heiner? Henderson? Hornock? Jennings? Knapp? Larson Lloyd? Larson JT? Lawley? Locke? Nyman? Newsom? Nicholas? Nemec? Northrop? Oakley? Obermueller? O'Hearn? Olson? Ottman? Pendergraft? Penn? Provenza? Rodriguez Williams? Sherwood? Singh? Slagle? Smith? Stith? Storer? Strock? Stivar? Tarver? Trujillo? Walters? Ward? Washut? Western? Winter? Wiley? Yin? Swann Dan? Swann Dave? Speaker Summers?
Aye.
Are there any changes? Western, no to aye. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 57 aye, 4 no, 1 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 143 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 10, Labor. The next bill for our consideration is, just a second, I'm going to do a privilege, so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Berger.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Privilege of the floor. Just a quick privilege. I just want to welcome a young lady to the House. Her name is Leah Albro. She's right up here. She's going to University of Wyoming. She's a senior. She will graduate this spring. She's interning with the Department of Health, and she's also been accepted to grad school to University of Wyoming. And my son's girlfriend. So Leah, welcome to the floor.
Welcome to the House. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 148.
House Bill 148, sponsored by Representative Lawley.
First reading of the bill.
Regulation of surgical abortions.
Representative Lawley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 148 for introduction, and I ask for your favorable consideration. Members, House Bill 147 provides for common sense regulations for surgical abortions to protect the health and the safety of women who choose to have surgical abortions. As many of you know, Wyoming passed an abortion prohibition law last year, and that law has been stayed pending rulings in the district court and possible appeal to the Wyoming Supreme Court. As long as abortion remains legal in Wyoming, we have a responsibility to protect the health and safety of women getting surgical abortions. Why don't we have regulations? Well, it's really kind of simple. It's mystifying in a way, but simple in another way. During what we can call, people are now referring to as the Roe era, when Roe versus Wade was in place, and it was a federal right to an abortion under that law, states were constantly being challenged on any regulations of abortion clinics as a violation of the Roe ruling. So many states kind of just didn't do a lot of regulation during that era, but we're in the Dobbs era now. Since the Dobbs decision, all of the responsibility for abortions comes to the states. And so, again, that's why we're kind of in this place. And some people are surprised to learn how little regulation of abortion we have currently in Wyoming. House Bill 148 requires that each surgical abortion facility in Wyoming shall be licensed as an ambulatory surgical center in accordance with existing statutes. The current definition of an ambulatory surgical center is a facility which provides surgical treatment to patients not requiring hospitalization and not part of a hospital or an office or of a private physician, dentist, or podiatrist. Where this bill amends that definition to simply add ambulatory surgical center shall include any surgical abortion facility. So again, I urge you to support this common sense bill to protect the health and safety of women in Wyoming who are getting surgical abortions, which is our responsibility, I believe, as a legislature.
Representative Yin in the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. So two things. I think the good bringer of the bill did point out that we did ban abortion in this legislature. It's kind of weird to come up with the idea that maybe abortion will get ruled as healthcare, so then we have to pass other laws to keep prohibiting it. So, I guess that concern's a little odd to me that we have this during a budget session when I think the belief of all of those who voted for that last bill was that it was constitutional. So why would we need this bill if we thought the last bill was constitutional? And then two, Texas actually struck down a similar law in Women's Health versus Hellerstedt and as unconstitutional. So I think we might end up passing another unconstitutional bill if we keep working on this one. So again, it's budget session. I'd ask you to vote down this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Ward in the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a question. My question is, would the bringer of this bill be considered a friendly amendment to explain why abortion is not healthcare?
We still have time in the opposition. Representative Lawley for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the comments. First, I would say to the good representative who talked about why do we need this with the ban? I think I explained that. We have a stay currently in place, and as long as, because of that stay, abortions are legal in Wyoming during the stay of the law. And during this time, we need to still have an obligation and need to protect the health and safety of women. With regard to the question about the friendly amendment, yes, I am open to those amendments and have already, I think, said that clearly to.
Time.
Thank you.
Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 148.
Elleman. Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks. Bear. Berger. Brown. Burkhart. Byron. Chadwick. I'm sorry. Chestick. Klauston. Conrad. Prego. Davis. Eklund. Haroldson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Hornock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman. Newsom. Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermuller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith. Stiff. Storer. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washit. Western. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Zwanzer Dan. Zwanzer Dave. Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Closing Henderson. Aye to no. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 53 aye, 8 no, 1 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 148 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 1, Judiciary. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 149.
House Bill 149, sponsored by Representative Smith.
First reading of the bill.
Hit and run responsibility and penalties.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 149 and ask for your favorable consideration. This bill was brought to me by a local police chief in my district. Our community's had two different serious hit and run cases that were both caught on camera. Whether one on your doorbell on the side of a house or one of the school bus, but they were caught. People flipped over the hood, and so there wasn't much prosecution that they were able to do to the people that just left the victims in the middle of the road. And so these people are permanently disabled, but not much consequences for the people who chose to just run off. Both people were caught, but not much with our current law. So the local police chief just asked to change the statute to knowingly, which I know can sometimes be controversial, but when it comes up, when the victim comes up over the hood of your car and shatters your windshield, you know you hit something and you should stay and help and wait till police arrive and emergency personnel. It also makes it a felony and also increases the penalty. So to be guilty of a felony and subject to imprisonment for not more than 5 years and fined not more than $50,000 or both. So just ask for your favorable consideration.
In opposition, there was an opposition, Chairman Olson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill puts in place for leaving the scene of an accident, a felony and 5 years in prison. So just really think about that. Ask you to hit the brakes a little on this one.
All right, sorry, I was Representative O'Hearn on the opposition. We still have time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a question. If the person is in the street illegally and I hit that person and I wait around, what happens with that?
Representative Oakley, we still have time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is add knowingly to a hit and run. Like, what's the proof in that when by definition they hit and then they've left? How do you then prove that they knowingly did that?
Anybody, I think we're about out of time. So Representative Smith for your 30-second rebuttal.
All righty. Well, if you know, and pretty much the victim came up over your windshield, you would know that you hit something. If it was a semi-trailer turning a corner and the person's in the crosswalk, they may not know. And so if you are stayed and waited for police to arrive, it would just be considered a regular accident, and insurance and everything else would be taken care of.
All right, you got in under the wire. Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 149.
Allemande. Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks. Bear. Berger. Brown. Burkhart.
No.
Byron.
No.
Chadwick. Chestick. Klauston. Conrad.
No.
Prego. Davis.
No.
Eklund. Haroldson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Hornock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT.
No.
Lawley.
No.
Locke. Nyman. Newsom.
No.
Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermueller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Ken. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith. Stiff. Store. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washit. Western. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Zwonitzer Dan. Zwonitzer Dave. Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 28 aye, 33 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 149 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 152.
House Bill 152, sponsored by Representative Ottman.
First reading of the bill,
Sex offenders, child care facilities.
Representative Ottman.
Mr. Speaker, I move House Bill 152 and ask for your favorable consideration. What this bill does is prohibits sex offenders from accessing or residing near child care facilities. What we're deeming as child care facility, that means a person licensed or certified under the provisions of statute already in place, a facility which is administered or supervised by a governmental entity which is already there. And then just to say that what this requires is that anyone that is registered as a sex offender pursuant to 719-302 shall be upon or remain on the premises of any child care facility. They may not do that. Knowingly loiter, they will not do that within 1,000 feet, and they will not reside within 1,000 feet after July 1st, 2024. There are also some stipulations in here that there can be permission given if someone's dropping a child off, or if a parent is going to a sporting event or something like that. So basically what it is just to extend the provision that's already in place for schools to include daycares.
Representative
asked for your-
Conrad in the opposition. Representative Conrad in the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, a question for the bringer of the bill, and I apologize if I misread or did not read. What happens are those grandfathered? If there is a person now that is in a home and then a child care center opens up after the fact, what happens to that person who has lived there for 20 years and now we have a new child care within 1,000 feet or whatever the value is?
Representative Oakley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a question for the bringer, and I should know, I just didn't pull them up. How does this differ from the sex offender registration requirements? And I should, like I say, I should know if you looked into that, if these are, instead of being an individual statute, but they're already in existence. I thought they were, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, just a question.
Chairman Zwanitzer, we still have time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question of concern on how this interplays with the House Bill 126 we passed a bit ago about allowing childcare to be in residences as a residential use of property. I can just foresee there's going to be some amendments that are going to need to be made because we just basically allowed any residential property to be a childcare facility. That adds a whole nother level of complexity, I think, to this topic. Not that they can't be merged, but it's going to be some work.
Chairman Zwanitzer, we don't know what any bill is going to have happen. So just food for thought. All right, anybody else? I think we're about out of time. So Representative Ottman for your 30-second rebuttal.
First off, the first question about the grandfather is for anyone after July 1st, 2024. Okay, for the second question, yes, Representative, it is just to amend the statute that's currently in effect to include childcare facilities. Okay, and for the third one, if you're a registered sex offender, that is a relative, that is, of course, just the way that it is.
Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 152.
Alderman. Albrecht. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Berger.
No.
Brown.
No.
Burkhart.
No.
Byron.
No.
Chadwick.
No.
Cheswick.
No.
Clausen.
Aye.
Conrad.
Aye.
Prego.
No.
Davis.
Aye.
Eklund. Harrelson.
Aye.
Harshman. Heiner. Henderson.
No.
Hornock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman. Newsom. Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermuller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith. Stiff. Storer. Strock. Stivar. Tarver. Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washit. Western. Winter. Wiley. Yin. Swanser Dan. Swanser Dave. Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Berger. No. To aye. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 37 aye, 24 no, 1 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 152 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 154.
House Bill 154, sponsored by Representative Burkhart.
First reading of the bill.
Consumer Rental Purchase Agreement Act amendments.
Chairman Burkhart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 154 on introduction. Ask for your favorable consideration. Members of the 67th, the Wyoming Consumer Rental Purchase Agreement Act was originally passed in 1996, and this controls how people rent and potentially subsequently purchase equipment. This was prior to doing a lot of this sort of thing electronically. And the act needs to be updated to allow for electronic purchase rental agreements and the transactions and apply rules to those so that there's no misunderstanding. These updates will protect the consumers who choose to complete a rental purchase agreement or transaction electronically. This bill makes 3 substantive changes in the existing act. First, it clarifies that whether a rental purchase transaction is in person or online, the merchant must have a license to operate in Wyoming. The current statute's unclear on that issue, especially in dealing with online purchases or rentals. And that the business needs to have a business license in Wyoming, even if it is electronic. Second, makes clear that all notices disclosures can provide digitality. One interpretation of current law seems to require that all notices be provided in written form. And finally, it simplifies the licensing of rental purchase merchants to provide for one license for each business rather than a separate license being required for each physical location. Thank you, and I ask for your favorable consideration.
Anybody in opposition? Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 154.
Alaman,
Aye.
Allred, Andrew, Angelos, excused, Banks,
Aye.
Brett Bear,
No.
Berger,
Aye.
Brown, Burkhart,
Aye.
Byron,
Aye.
Chadwick, Chestick,
Aye.
Clauston, Conrad,
Aye.
Crago, Davis,
Aye.
Eklund, Haroldson,
Nay. No.
no. Harshman, Heiner,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Hornock, Larson Lloyd,
Aye.
Larson JT,
Aye.
Lawley, Locke,
No.
Nyman, Newsom, Nicholas, Nemec, Northrop, Oakley, Obermuller, O'Hearn,
Aye.
Olson, Ottman, Pendergraft,
No.
Penn, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams, Sherwood, Singh, Slagle, Smith, Stiff, Storer, Strock, Stivar, Tarver, Trujillo, Walters, Ward, Washit, Western, Winter,
Aye.
Wiley, Yin,
Aye.
Swanser Dan, Swanser Dave, Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Alaman, aye. To no. Ottman, aye. To no. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 46 aye, 15 no, 1 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 154 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 7, Corporations. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 165.
House Bill 165, sponsored by Representative Byron.
First reading of the bill.
Access points on state lands study.
Representative Byron.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the body, I move House Bill 165. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill is relating directly to the Office of State Lands. It is a study bill that asks them to bring back to the Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, and Cultural Resources Committee some data on what type of commercial fishing may or may not be going on state lands. With that, I stand for questions.
Anybody in opposition? Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 165.
Alaman. Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused, Banks. Bear. Berger. Brown. Burkhart. Byron. Chadwick. Chestick. Clauston. Conrad. Crago. Davis. Eklund. Haroldson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Hornock. Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd. Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman. Newsom. Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermuller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood. Singh. Slagle. Smith. Stiff. Storer, Strock. Stivar,
No.
Tarver.
Aye.
Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washut. Western. Winter.
Aye.
Wiley. Yin. As one answer Dan. As one answer Dave. Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Sherwood? Closing vote? Vote closed. 51 aye, 10 no, 1 excused.
Having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 165 has been introduced and is assigned to Committee Number 6, Travel. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 208.
House Bill 208, sponsored by Representative Tarver.
First reading of the bill.
Hydrogen severance tax.
Representative Tarver.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I would like to move House Bill 208 and ask for your favorable consideration on this bill. It's a pretty simple bill. There has been some companies looking at coming in and producing hydrogen out of our water. This will provide a severance tax. Pretty simple. Thanks.
Anybody in opposition? I see somebody heading to you got Representative Stiff right here.
Mr. Speaker, just to question how this works. So if someone produces water from the ground and sort of severs the water from the ground, that water is not taxed. But if they then take that same water and put it into an electrolyzer and split it into hydrogen and oxygen, then that's the taxable event. Is that right? And if that's the case, it doesn't seem like a severance tax. It seems like it's an electrolyzer processing tax, but so any thoughts on that?
Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to this bill. One of the problems we have in our state is a lack of water. And anytime we're going to divide the hydrogen from the oxygen, it can't return and become water again. So I would suggest that we protect that rare and very precious resource of water and not contribute to it by trying to raise taxes off of it. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else in opposition? Oh, Representative Yin, there is time.
Mr. Speaker, so hydrogen is kind of a form of energy storage. So the severance tax really becomes sort of a weird way to apply it. It's like saying we put a severance tax when refining oil into gasoline or turning natural gas into electricity. So I think I understand the concern, but I think the structure of it is just kind of weird to have it as a severance tax. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Carver, you get your 30-second rebuttal.
Thank you, sir. I can probably keep it shorter than that. I have no idea how to fix the severance part or to answer those questions, but I think the body here can probably figure out how to do that better than I. Right now, they can do whatever they want with our water. So this will at least allow us a vehicle to steer them into, my idea is to steer them into production water. I believe I covered most questions.
All right, you're about out of time. So Chief Clerk, please call the roll on House Bill 208.
Allemand. Allred. Andrew. Angelos, excused. Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
No.
Berger.
Aye.
Brown. Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Byron.
Aye.
Chadwick.
No.
Chestick. Aye. Clausen. Conrad.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Eklund. Harrelson. Harshman. Heiner. Henderson. Hornock.
No.
Jennings. Knapp. Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson JT. Lawley. Locke. Nyman.
Aye.
Newsom. Nicholas. Nemec. Northrop. Oakley. Obermueller. O'Hearn. Olson. Ottman. Pendergraft. Penn. Provenza. Rodriguez Williams. Sherwood.
No.
Singh.
No.
Slagle. Smith. Stiff. Storer. Strock. Stivar.
No.
Tarver. Trujillo. Walters. Ward. Washut. Western. Western.
Excused. Speaker.
Winter.
Aye.
Wiley.
No.
Yin.
No.
Swanser Dan. Swanser Dave. Speaker Summers.
Aye.
Are there any changes? Provenza, aye to no. Further changes? Henderson, aye to no. Further changes? Closing vote. Oh, Berger? Berger, aye to no. Further changes? Closing vote. Vote closed. 39 aye, 21 no, 2 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 208 has failed introduction. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 209.
House Bill 209, sponsored by Representative Andrew.
First reading of the bill.
Possession of alcohol amendments.
Representative Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 209 and ask for your favorable introduction. This bill decriminalizes but does not legalize alcohol possession and consumption for individuals aged 18 to 21 and provides for expungement of related records. Criminalizing alcohol possession for 18 to 21-year-olds creates unnecessary barriers to employment, education, and housing. A criminal record for alcohol possession can haunt an individual for years, impacting their ability to succeed and contribute to society. Expunging these records is not only fair, but also a pragmatic approach. It allows these individuals to move forward with their lives, free from the stigma of a youthful mistake. Decriminalizing alcohol possession recognizes the reality of youth alcohol consumption, reduces unnecessary legal burdens, and gives young adults a second chance to make a positive contribution to society. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Oakley in
Thank you.
opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The way this is structured, to me, just seems like a needless administrative nightmare. So first of all, we have a law that says it's illegal, and then they go to court and then they get a conviction, which is required to be entered. And then 6 months later, we turn around and we say, well, we shouldn't do that. We should then start expunging the records, which also takes administration. I don't understand if it's not, we can just make it legal to drink at 21. That would be fine. And I would like to say, much to my parents' chagrin, I'm the proud owner of one of said convictions, and it hasn't kept me from anything in my life. Of all the criminal acts, this one doesn't really hold you back from much.
All right. All right, anybody else? I don't think anybody wants to follow that one. That's dropped in my deal. So Representative Andrew, your 30-second rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd certainly be willing to work on the structure of this if there is a way to simplify it.
All right, Chief Clerk, please call a roll on House Bill 209.
Allemande.
Aye.
Allred.
No.
Andrew.
Aye.
Angelos, excused. Banks. Aye. Bear.
Aye.
Berger. Berger. Berger,
No.
Brown, Burkhart,
No.
Byron,
Aye.
Chadwick, Chestick, Clauston, Conrad, Prego, Davis, Eklund, Harrelton,
No.
Harshman, Heiner. I'm sorry, Heiner,
No.
Henderson,
No.
Warnock, Jennings, Knapp,
No.
Larson Lloyd, Larson JT,
No.
Lawley,
No.
Locke,
No.
Nyman, Newsom,
No.
Nicholas, Nemec,
No.
Northrop,
No.
Oakley, Obermuller, O'Hearn, Olson, Ottman, Pendergraft,
No.
Penn, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams, Sherwood, Singh, Slagle,
No.
Smith,
No.
Stiff, Stiff, Storer, Strock, Stivar,
No.
Tarver,
No.
Trujillo, Walters, Ward, Washit, Western,
Excused.
Winter,
Excused. Winter.
Winter, aye. Wiley,
No.
Yin,
Aye.
Swanser Dan, Swanser Dave, Speaker Summers.
No.
Are there any changes? Conrad, aye. To no, further changes? Further changes. Closing vote? Vote closed. 21 aye, 39 no, 2 excused.
Having failed to receive an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the elected members, House Bill 209 has failed introduction. It thus ends introduction for today. Reports from standing committees. Mr. Majority Floor Leader, could you come up here for a second too, just to visit?
House Bill 14, sponsored by Labor. Pre-authorization regulations and act relating to the insurance code. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 10, Labor, Health and Social Services, to whom is referred House Bill 14. Prior authorization regulations. Respectfully report same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass with the following amendments. Ayes, Representatives Chadwick, Clauston, Hornock, O'Hearn, Penn, Trujillo, Ward, Yin, Swanitzer. Representative Swanitzer, Chairman. House Bill 15, sponsored by Labor, health insurance reimbursement of overpayments, and act relating to health insurance. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 10, Labor, Health and Social Services, to whom is referred House Bill 15, health insurance reimbursement of overpayments. Respectful report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Chadwick, Faustin, Hornock, O'Hearn, Penn, Trujillo, Ward, Yin, Swanitzer. Representative Swanitzer, Chairman. House Bill 20, sponsored by Education, School Finance Regional Cost Adjustment Study, and act relating to school finance. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 4, Education, to whom is referred House Bill 20, School Finance Regional Cost Adjustment Study. Respectful report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Allred, Andrew, Berger, Brown, Faustin, Lawley, Northrop, Obermuller, Provenza. Representative Northrop, Chairman. House Bill 21, sponsored by School Facilities, Charter School Leasing, and act relating to K-12 school facilities. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 4, Education, to whom is referred House Bill 21, Charter School Leasing. Respectful report, same back to the House with the recommendation that do pass with the following amendments. Ayes, Representatives Allred, Andrew, Berger, Brown, Faustin, Lawley, Northrop, Obermuller, Provenza. Representative Northrup, Chairman. House Bill 26, sponsored by Judiciary. Emergency Protective Services, effective period. An act relating to adult protective services. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 1 Judiciary, to whom is referred House Bill 26, Emergency Protective Services, effective period. Respectfully report, same back to the House with the recommendation that the two pass. Ayes, Representatives Chestick, Crego, Haroldson, Nemec, Oakley, Provenza, Rodriguez, Williams, Washit. Noes, Representative Jennings. Representative Washit, Chairman. House Bill 27, sponsored by Judiciary. DFS and law enforcement cross-reporting, an act relating to adult protective services. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 1 Judiciary, to whom is referred House Bill 27, DFS and law enforcement cross-reporting, respectfully report same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Chestick, Crego, Haroldson, Nemec, Oakley, Provenza, Rodriguez, Williams, Washit. Noes, Representative Jennings. Representative Washit, Chairman. House Bill 32, sponsored by Minerals. Geologic sequestration, unitization amendments, an act relating to environmental quality. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 9, Minerals, Business and Economic Development, to whom is referred House Bill 32, Geologic sequestration, unitization amendments. Respectfully report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Banks, Burkhart, Conrad, Heiner, Knapp, Larson, Lawley, Tarver, Western. Representative Burkhart, Chairman. House Bill 33, sponsored by Minerals. Mining operations, blasting requirements, an act relating to environmental quality. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 9, Minerals, Business and Economic Development, to whom is referred House Bill 33, mining operations, blasting requirements. Respectfully report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Banks, Burkhart, Conrad, Heiner, Knapp, Larson, Lawley, Tarver, Western. Representative Burkhart, Chairman. House Bill 34, sponsored by Minerals. Solid waste municipal seats and transfer funding, an act relating to the privatization of municipal solid waste facilities, cease and transfer projects. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 9, Minerals, Business and Economic Development, to whom is referred House Bill 34, solid waste municipal cease and transfer funding. Respectfully report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Banks, Burkhart, Conrad, Heiner, Knapp, Larson, Lawley, Tarver, Western. Representative Burkhart, Chairman.
We're at that order of business of bills on second reading. Oh, you want to do a re-referral now? Okay, Chairman Burkhart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to re-refer House Bill 33, mine blasting, to committee number 2 appropriations, as it has an appropriation in it.
Without objection, House Bill 33 is re-referred to committee number 2 appropriations. Now we're at that order of business, bills on second reading. The first bill for our consideration is House Bill 8.
House Bill 8, sponsored by Transportation, commercial driver's license, hazardous materials endorsement, an act relating to motor vehicles.
House Bill 8 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 9.
House Bill 9, sponsored by Transportation, fuel tax licensee information deadline, an act relating to taxation and revenue.
House Bill 9 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. House Bill 70, and we have amendments.
House Bill 70, sponsored by appropriations. Local government distributions, an act relating to local government funding.
Chairman Zwanitzer, I don't have the in front of me, but if you got an amendment, fire away.
I'd be pleased to present it. I would move second reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 70 and ask for your favorable consideration, body. So yesterday, as we had the debate on how much money to give our local governments, I just felt that we gave them a lot more last year. So I went back and looked at the local government funding bill from 2023, and on third reading, good representative from Natrona County did up that request to what would equate to 146,250,000. And so since 2008, when I was here, is when we had set the 105 number we've been using for the past 15 years. During that time, inflation's got up, and our budgets finally have gone up in the last 6 years, where we do have some more money. Had a lot of talk this year about giving money back. While I can't directly give it back to the people because of the constitutional prohibition on that, I did think it's important, not that I'm trying to set a new norm for the future, but I do think it's important we give our locals more funding. And so what the amendment does is basically give them the same amount this body gave them last year in House Bill 185. So I'd ask your favorable consideration. Inflation's been difficult on all of us, including your local communities. And if I believe we will be successful in some property tax relief, and that will cut into some of these budgets as well. And so I think this is a good policy for at least 2024 moving forward to help our locals.
Representative Larson Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd really encourage the body to resist this temptation. And I think it's a great example of what happens when you try to be nice and then it's expected to be ongoing in perpetuity. What we've done over the last 2 years that allowed us to provide more in local funding is we had the one-time ARPA dollars that we could distribute out. We had some other dollars that we could distribute out. We didn't have the general fund dollars. And so our historic has been 105. I think there's a fair argument made yesterday that there's probably at least some inflation. We agreed with that and raised it to 105. But I think coming off, as we shared the wealth when we had it, I think we had to come back to a normal standard of operation on how we provide general funds to the local governments. And as the good presenter of the bill noted to us yesterday, or when we done committee of the whole, that over the long haul, the local governments have fared far better with what we've provided for them in local government distribution than they ever did through the local taxation. So I think we've always been we're all mindful of what we need to do for our local communities in the funding needs. I've had several texts from my county commissioner trying to twist my arm that this seems like a good idea. And I think the good idea is to stick with what the bill that we passed, or the amendment that we passed yesterday for 110, and would encourage you to resist this.
Representative Craigo for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of the amendment. I think a lot of us come from some pretty small towns or represent some pretty small towns in our districts. And this direct distribution literally keeps them alive. Without this funding, they don't survive. They don't have the resources to do it. They don't have the tax base to do it. And so I would ask you to support the amendment and make sure our little towns back home and our districts can continue to function. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Stiff for your first time.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. On and against this amendment for a couple of reasons. The communities receive very substantial funds from ARPA, which go through the end of December 2026. So for this next biennium, they have ARPA funds. And in addition, there have been several cases of opioid litigation, which the cities and towns participate in. It's expected that settlements from those in the aggregate amount of approximately $50 million will be flowing into Wyoming in the next year or two. So they've got this extra source of funding on that score. And in addition, as we know, one of the reasons we're talking about property tax is because the assessed valuations have gone up so significantly for so many counties. And so the counties are receiving extra total revenue as a result. So I think we bumped it up yesterday to over 110 million, and I think we leave it there, on and against.
Representative Bear for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First for a second.
Representative Banks for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rising in support of the amendment, as a fellow representative say, this is the lifeblood of our small towns. I don't come from any towns over 5,000 people. And we use the direct distribution and some of this money to just survive and to just get by. And especially when our people really need property tax relief and we're going to give it to them, I feel confident about that. We're going to have to make up a little bit more in direct distribution so that our cities and towns won't take such a big of a hit. And so I think continuing to provide the services that we rely on and that our people back home rely on is important. And with the cost of inflation and cost of everything, I think that this is a good thing we can take home to our people and say, the services that you rely on, that emergency services, water and sewer things are going to continue while we ease the burden of taxes on you as well.
Representative Walters for your first time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to encourage a no vote. If we were to approve this, this will be the second highest amount for direct distributions that the state has ever given to communities. That this program started in about 2005. In 2007, we gave the legislature gave 167 million to local governments. Since then, it's been significantly lower. Starting in 2017, it was 105 million. It's been there for the last 6 years, excuse me. And then last year, it was bumped up to about 120 million. So I just don't know that we want to go to the second highest amount that has ever been given out right now. Remember, we can always offer more in a supplemental budget as we have an opportunity to see what the state revenues look like at that point in time. So I would encourage a no vote on this at this point in time and look to the future.
Representative Brown for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of this and for a little bit of different reason. So appreciate what the onlook is going to be over the course of the next week when we start doing budget amendments and we have our appropriations team ready to fight us out on this. But you know, I come to you and I ask for your consideration on this amendment. And I understand that this is the second most that we would ever look at. But I would also say that I've been here for 8 years, right? And over the past 8 years, we have been, I can remember my first 3 to 4 years sitting in this chamber debating on whether or not we were even going to get 100 million out to our communities. And when we were barely getting that out, our communities were also struggling with the property taxes and not receiving anything, and they were operating on a shoestring budget. And a lot of the communities that you all represent, and I'll just say I represent here in the capital city, we have a lot of infrastructure needs that were going by the wayside during those timeframes. We had a lot of things that were being pushed out and said, you know, we'll wait until we can get out there. Yeah, we're looking at $140 million. When you start stretching that across the 100 municipalities across the state, a lot of this money doesn't go very far in some of these smaller communities. And I can tell you that the city of Cheyenne certainly could use some of this, but I also know the communities back in your home districts could use it as well. And so, you know, the argument that, well, it's just what we gave them last year and we can't do it again because it was ARPA funds. I would just ask you, what do we do if we don't do this, right? The rest of this money just goes right into savings. So we turn around and we walk out of here and we say, well, we didn't give this to our communities. We just shoved it into savings again. And we did $1 billion last year, which I think was good. We've got another $100 million-ish left over this year. What a good time to invest it back into our communities and the people that we represent and let them know that we went home and we fought for them to make sure that we got their stuff done when we came down here to work on it. So on its support.
Representative Oppman for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know, and I was just reminded, I have a lot of small communities in my district. And what I've noticed is that they work hard. They work hard and they try to do the best for their communities. But another thing that I've noticed is that over the last couple of years with the inflated money that's coming in, They've been able to do some special projects, some one-time projects, but that has created an expectation that they're going to continue to get all that money, and that's not good. So what I would say is the distribution is going good. Property taxes are up. We have bills in the hopper to figure out what that's going to look like. And I would say no on this amendment.
Representative Yin for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, over the past couple of years, I've been thinking, what does it mean? What does Wyoming mean to me? What are the values that embody Wyoming? What's the character of Wyoming? And a lot of it really pretends to our open spaces, our ability to know our neighbor. But I know that our small towns and our communities are the heart and lifeblood of our state. And my district and my county is not going to be a big winner in the local distributions. That's okay, because I know that we're helping the entire state of Wyoming maintain its character, maintain its small towns. And if we continue on the path where we keep cutting their ability to generate resources and then we don't make up for that, then we're not going to have small town Wyoming anymore. So I do believe that this is an appropriate addition to that distribution. And I hope that you will also support small town Wyoming and vote for the amendment. Thank you.
Representative O'Hearn for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We all know how much inflation has reached all of us. It really affects when a small town needs to fix their infrastructure. I was at a meeting the other day with the city. Fire hydrants used to cost $621. Now they're over $1,400. All that stuff has gone up almost double. You guys all, we can give them some more money.
Representative Davis for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In my district, we have 10 small municipalities, and with the war on fossil fuels, these communities are being strapped for keeping things going for their citizens. I mean, we're short funding there. So I think this would be very much appreciated. And thank you, and vote aye.
All right. Anybody else for their first time? Anybody for their second time before the bringer of the amendment? Representative Larson Lloyd.
I really do appreciate the compassion and the desire to help the communities more, and there's a comment made that, what are we going to do with this extra money? Well, we just stick it into savings. That's what enables us to continue to give them what we do, is the revenue we generate off the savings ensures that moving forward, we can continue to provide the local distribution. So I don't think we're rat holing it to be to restrain the distribution. We just think that, or I would just suggest to you that we give them local distribution now. We understand how important it is, and that the 110, I think, is an appropriate amount, and again, would encourage you to resist the extra amount.
Anybody else for their second time before the bringer? Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to address what the good minority floor leader pointed out. He stated that if we don't support these small towns, that they may go away. And I think we should really think about that. If small towns are completely required to receive funding from either large cities or the state itself, should they exist? I'll tell you right now, I disagree with the minority floor leader. I think that what the good representative from the middle of the state said about hard work and values in these small towns means that they're going to survive. And I don't think it's just survive. I think they're going to thrive. We've been told that they've got extra funds from the last few years of increased tax revenues. We have maintained this particular funding model for 17 years now. And I think we've created some dependency. We see it on the national level with individuals. We've created a welfare state. And are we going to do the same thing with our small towns? Let's let them have the pride
Should I ask?
of creating a town, a corporation, and being able to survive through good times and bad times. And let them have that victory. If we carry them all the time and they become dependent upon it, they will lose that pride. And one of the things I love about small towns is the kind of pride you see in those places. On and against the amendment.
Representative Craigo for your second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it is fun to be debating bills again, back and forth. Been waiting a few days for this. This is awesome. I personally believe in small town Wyoming, and I do want it to continue to exist. Unfortunately, our tax structure doesn't give them a whole lot of options to raise income. They're limited. They don't have very many options. You go to KC, Wyoming, or Claremont, Wyoming, both of which are in my district, they don't have a whole lot of options. And so we need to give them the support they need. They need to be able to fix their water lines. They need to be able to fix their water towers. They need to be able to fix their sewer lines. And they just need to be able to pay their people that work and run the town. None of them have very many employees. They don't even have the ability to raise enough taxes to pay those employees. Without the direct distribution, most of those small towns would have no employees. That's how important it is to those small towns in districts like mine. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right. Anybody else for the second time before the sponsor? And Chairman Zwanitzer, I may have not have heard it and I didn't realize it, but did you do the corrected copy? Did you say, when you moved it, did you say corrected copy? I just want to make sure that's on the record, so we did it.
In case I did not, Mr. Speaker, I would move the corrected copy of the amendment that should have the 140 number before you.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we had that moved, so please go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you for the great debate. It is kind of fun to be back and in the passion of the debate. And I agree, I only got 3 out of 7 appropriators up this year, so I'm doing well so far. And I agree with the good vice chair of appropriations. We were very kind last year to our cities and towns. And I would submit to you, we can continue to be that kind this year, looking at our budget, and remind you, if you didn't know, it is National Kindness Week. And we can have a lot of debates in this floor, and I've been through a lot of them. Are we doing better or worse for our counties and funding than we were previously? In my time, we've had impact county money, we've had county consensus funding. It's really tough to say we're doing this for our cities and towns better or worse than we did last year or 5 years ago. But I think you all know we went through 2 significant financial drops, and then we had some federal money, and now we're finally back. But that comes with inflation. I appreciate the comments on the opioid settlement money. There is some money coming to our locals, but I hope that it's spent, in fact, on opioid related issues that's facing our struggling cities and towns. So with that, I guess the only other thing I'd say, it is really difficult that we are doing this bill before we do the budget bill, right? Because once we're on second reading, this bill will leave the House before we can have a good feel for how much is in the budget, what we can take out of the budget via our cities and towns. Certainly not trying to impact anything in the budget, but I do know there's some significant funding for research and development, for our energy industry, for our university. But it is sometimes tough for me to go and say, hey, we're spending 20 million here or 140 million here on these great projects that are gonna revolutionize Wyoming. And, my local, I have a couple of small towns and part of my district saying, we can barely buy a fire engine, pay for the water line. That's great. You're investing all this money in research and development, but we can hardly pay our bills. And so I do think it's appropriate. I do think we have the funds, and I would encourage you to vote for this amendment.
Question having been called, or at least I'm gonna call it. So, all those in favor of second reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 70, the corrected copy, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Second reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 70 has been adopted. We are now back. We have another amendment. Oh yeah, sure. Privilege. Go ahead, Representative Barrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to introduce all of you to a good friend of mine. She's in the West Gallery and she's here for Galley. This is Shannon Stefanik. She is a good friend of my family, especially my daughter. Her children are friends with my grandchildren. Shannon Stefanik, if you please stand up. Sorry, I misdirected. She's on your left.
Welcome to the House. All right, Representative Larson JT.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I respectfully withdraw second reading amendment to House Bill 70, given the outcome of the last bill.
Second reading amendment, number 2 to House Bill 70 has been withdrawn. All right, House Bill 70, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Mr. Majority Floor Leader, let's rock and roll.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House move into. Man. Mr. Speaker, I move the House move into the committee of the whole.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed? You've heard the, okay, now, let's see. I'm just gotta find who's doing it. Harrelson, okay. Welcome, Chairman Harrelson. Whatever, that ain't right.
Will the committee of the whole please come to order? And we're going to take a pause for just a second and let everyone catch up. You'll have an updated cow list on the internet here shortly. So we're just getting some more of these bills into the hopper. Thank you guys for your patience. We'll stand at ease until we get this all in line. Okay, would the committee of the whole please come to order? The first bill for our consideration is House Bill number 11, State Land Lease Amendments. Will the reading clerk please read the bill?
House Bill 11, sponsored by Agriculture, State Land Lease Amendments, an act relating to state lands. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 5, Agriculture, State and Public Lands and Water Resources, to whom is referred House Bill 11, State Land Lease Amendments. Respectfully report sent back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass with the following amendments. Ayes, Representatives Alaman, Allred, Banks, Conrad, Crago, Davis, Eklund, Slagle, Winter. Representative Eklund, Chairman.
You've heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure, Chairman Eklund?
Mr. Chairman, good afternoon. I move that when the committee of the whole rises to report, it do so with the recommendation that House Bill 11 do pass. It has an amendment. I'll move the amendment after the bill is explained, and I'll turn it over to my colleague from the Northeast.
Thank you very much. Representative Slagle.
Mr. Speaker, I am going to present House Bill 11 and state land lease amendments. Basically, the changes in the amendments that are in this bill are on page 2. It's the first portion there, 1 through 5, and it just adds the filing date is deemed to be the date on the stamped postmark when it was mailed, rather than arrival in the office. That is the main one. And then
Good.
I didn't do the amendment.
Okay, I thought. So we probably need to address the amendment at this point.
I'm sorry.
Chairman Eklund.
Mr. Chairman, I move Standing Committee Amendment number 1 to House Bill 11. And if you look that up, it's a fairly simple amendment, but it'll be explained also by my colleague from the Northeast.
Representative Slagle.
Okay, what this amendment does is when we originally were looking at this bill, we took out acceptable to the director. It was struck out, and we're actually putting that back in right after payment on line 18. It'll say acceptable to the director.
Any questions on the amendment at this point, or at this time? The question having been called, all those in favor of the committee of the whole amendment number 1 to House Bill number 11, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The amendment has been adopted. Back on the bill. Question on the bill. Question having been called, all those in favor of Chairman Eklund's motion that House Bill 11. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Question having been called, those in favor of Representative Eklund's motion that when the committee of the whole rise to report to do so with the recommendation that House Bill number 11 do pass. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? No. House Bill 11 has passed the committee of the whole. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill number 10, grace period state land lease renewals. Reading clerk, would you please read the bill?
House Bill 10, sponsored by Agriculture, grace period, state land lease renewals, an act relating to state lands. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 5, Agriculture, State and Public Lands and Water Resources, to whom is referred House Bill 10, grace period, state land lease renewals, respectfully report sent back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Alaman, Allred, Banks, Conrad, Crago, Davis, Eklund, Slagle, Winter. Representative Eklund, Chairman.
You've heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure, Chairman Eklund?
Mr. Chairman, I move that when the committee of the whole rises to report, it do so with the recommendation that House Bill 10 do pass. I'm going to turn it over to a colleague, but first I wanted to explain what we're doing right now. Both these bills are refinements from some other changes we've made. And as those changes are made to statute, the agencies start working rules and find little glitches here and there. The laws we passed last year have worked fairly well. These are just refinements of those. Appreciate your consideration of it, and I'll turn the explanation of the change to my colleague on the little snake.
Representative Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This House Bill number 10, it's a pretty simple fix in it. We, after consideration in committee and everything else, once we achieved our grazing and agricultural leasing plan there was, at the end of 10 days when everything expired, there was a grace period granted for those that could show good cause with a written request for the current lease to be extended, okay? And the director then can grant that, and he has up to 30 days to look at that. And I'd stand for any questions if there's on this.
Any questions? Seeing no questions and questions having been called, all those in favor of Representative Eklund's motion that when the committee of the whole rise to report to do so with the recommendation that House Bill number 10 do pass, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. That bill is passed. The next bill for your consideration is House Bill number 16. The reading clerk will please read the bill.
House Bill 16, sponsored by Travel. Sutton State Archaeological Site, legal description, an act relating to state lands. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 6, Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, and Cultural Resources, to whom is referred House Bill 16, Sutton State Archaeological Site, legal description, respectful report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Burkhart, Byron, Larson, Newsom, Singh, Storer, Western, Winter. Excused, Representative Angelos. Representative Newsom, Chairman.
Chairman Newsom,
Thank you,
you've
Mr.
heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that when the committee of the whole rises to report it, do so with the recommendation that House Bill 16 do pass. And I'll move the explanation of the bill over to my good representative from Cheyenne.
Representative Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 16 changes the description of the Sutton State Archaeological Site. The previous description was provided by the landowner. However, it is not accurate after we surveyed the area. And it is unusual for state parks to have this precise of a description of the property in its bill. So this changes that and clarifies it.
Any other comments? Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just for clarification, that means that this description of the property is actually in the green books and it's incorrect. Is that correct?
Representative Singh.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Bear, yes, that is correct.
Chairman Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question. Why wouldn't we want more precise definitions of the land in these types of bills? If it wasn't correct, couldn't we put the corrected surveyed information into the bill? I guess most of the time when we're dealing with real estate, we want specific designations of what piece of land we're talking about. So I'm curious why in this setting, the experience practice has been not to have this type of detail.
Chairman Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is not the convention of state parks to have property descriptions in the green books. They do have property descriptions as part of their inventory, but it is not convention that we have the legal description of state parks in the green books. Thank you.
Other questions? Seeing no questions and question having been called, all those in favor of Chairman Newsom's motion that when the committee of the whole rise to report to do so with the recommendation that House Bill 16 do pass, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 16 has passed committee of the whole. The next bill for your consideration is going to be House Bill 32. The reading clerk would please read the bill.
House Bill 32, sponsored by Minerals, Geologic Sequestration, Unitization Amendments, an act relating to environmental quality. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 9, Minerals, Business and Economic Development, to whom is referred House Bill 32, Geologic Sequestration, Unitization Amendments. Respective report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Banks, Burkhart, Conrad, Heiner, Knapp, Larson, Lawley, Tarver, Western. Representative Burkhart, Chairman.
You've heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure, Chairman Burkhart?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that when the committee of the whole rise to report it, do so with a recommendation that House Bill 32 do pass and turn the explanation over to the good representative from the north central part of the state.
Representative Wall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the House, the Minerals Committee worked on this bill quite a bit during the interim. We even had a work group, which I was a part of, and working this bill. And the work group included, of course, legislators on both sides of both chambers, as well as some regulators and some industry folks. But more important to me on the work group was a person who represented private landowners who gave a lot of insight concerning the ways that this bill could particularly help private property owners. So the most important thing I can tell you about this bill is that it helps protect private property owners who are interested in leasing their privately owned pore space. Today in the Minerals Committee, in fact, we heard a great deal of testimony on the details of the benefits of this bill to private landowners. With that in mind, let me go over a few details of the bill. House Bill 32 offers necessary technical changes to Wyoming's long-standing state law regarding the use of underground geological storage space in projects. The bill has 3 main purposes. Number 1 is to ensure that Wyoming's private landowners are fairly and equitably compensated for the use of their underground storage space, known as pore space. Number 2 is to clarify the specific roles of the Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality and the Wyoming Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. And thirdly, to define activities a project proponent can undergo after having received DEQ permits, but while awaiting the Wyoming Oil and Gas Conservation Commission's permits. Ladies and gentlemen, to do a storage project, an operator must get the landowner's approval. Most landowners reach agreements with an operator on what they will be paid. We actually heard today that there's been many landowners that have already begun to lease out their pore space, and it's become a commodity. It's become a part of value of the property that they own. And so with that in mind, we have put in place with this bill some good public policy to help protect landowners and clarify processes of the regulatory processes. So it protects landowners that don't have an agreement. That's another thing it does. If you don't have an agreement, but you own part of the pore space involved, it protects those owners to get compensation based on what the other private landowners got. So there's, again, a lot of ways we've protected those. Operators must also get Class 6 permits from the DEQ for underground storage. This permit covers all environmental requirements. Many of those requirements have been set by the EPA, but Wyoming has received a very important thing, and that's an agreement for primacy from the EPA. So it's our DEQ that takes those EPA regulations and they manage those requests for permitting and then the monitoring process, which can be done much more efficiently through our DEQ. Operators are also get a drilling and injection permit from the Wyoming Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. So again, there's a 2-step permitting process here, and they have to do that before they're allowed to drill a well. This bill also clarifies what information the Wyoming Oil and Gas Conservation Commission needs in an application and what must be included in a permit that is ordered. Finally, it clarifies that operators can undergo surface construction activities once they have the DEQ permit, but they can't inject until they have the Wyoming Oil and Gas Conservation Commission permit already completely in place. So one of the things I want to point out is that for over 37 years now, Wyoming has utilized geological sequestration. This is indeed not new technology. We already here in Wyoming have laws in place that legalize the sequestration, laws that regulate the sequestration by DEQ and Wyoming Oil and Gas Commission, as well as, I mentioned earlier, the DEQ regulations for class 6 wells. Again, I guess with that in mind, that explains the bill and kind of the thinking behind it. But again, there's a lot of focus here in the work group and in our committee with the important protections for private property owners. It's their property. And if they choose to engage in these agreements to utilize their pore space, this gives them some clarity of regulation. It gives them some protections and in place that are very important for them to do with their own private property. And I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Representative Wally. Any questions? Any questions? Must mean you did a really good job. Question having been called, all those in favor of Chairman Burkhart's motion that when the committee of the whole rise to report it, do so with the recommendation that House Bill 32 do pass. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. House Bill 32 has passed the committee of the whole. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill number 15. Would the reading clerk please read in the bill?
House Bill 15, sponsored by Labor. Health insurance reimbursement of overpayments, an act relating to health insurance. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 10, Labor, Health and Social Services, to whom is referred House Bill 15, health insurance reimbursement of overpayments, respectfully report same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes. Representatives Chadwick, Clauston, Hornock, O'Hearn, Penn, Trujillo, Ward, Yin, Zwanitzer. Representative Zwanitzer, Chairman.
You've heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure? Chairman Zwanitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move in the committee of the whole rise to report to do so with the recommendation that House Bill 15 do pass. There are no standing committee amendments, and I would turn over the sponsorship of the bill to the good representative from District, I have to remember, 32.
Thank you, Chairman.
Representative Clausen.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may remember this bill from Monday. It passed unanimously. It limits the amount of years insurance companies can go back to a provider and ask for what they see as overpayment. It decreases the liability on our healthcare providers in Wyoming. Currently, it's a 10-year statute that can go back. This will be more in line with the rest of the United States. It'll put it at 2 years. It had unanimous vote in our committee today, and it had support of both insurance companies and our medical associations.
Thank you, Representative Clausen. Any questions on the bill? Question having been called, all those in favor of Chairman Zwanizer's motion that when the committee of the whole rise to report to do so with the recommendation that House Bill number 15 do pass, all those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 15 has passed the committee of the whole. The next bill for our consideration is House Bill number 26. Would the reading clerk please read in the bill?
House Bill 26, sponsored by Judiciary, Emergency Protective Services, effective period, an act relating to adult protective services. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 1, Judiciary, to whom is referred House Bill 26, Emergency Protective Services, effective period, respectfully report same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes. Representatives Chestick, Craigo, Haroldson, Nemec, Oakley, Provenza, Rodriguez-Williams, Washington. Noes, Representative Jennings. Representative Washington, Chairman.
You've heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure, Chairman Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that when the committee of the whole rises to report, to do so with the recommendation that bill number 26 do pass. There are no amendments, and I turn over recommendation of the bill to the good representative from House District 54.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the House. This past summer, the Vulnerable Adult Mental Health Subcommittee or Task Force met, which was made up of legislators and members of the judiciary, directors of the Department of Health, the Department of Family Services, and Department of Education to consider issues around and one of the main issues that we concerned was vulnerable adults and what are the services in the state for the adults? What statutory restrictions do we have on those individuals getting services? And how do we ensure that we protect an adult's rights as they age and as they go through the complexities that come with age? One of the recommendations that come out of this House bill is the next two bills that we'll consider, 26 and 27. And in House Bill 27, the current requirements for adult protective services lies within the Department of Family Services. And they note how important it is to remember that that they do not take custody of an adult like they would a juvenile that might go into foster care. If an adult is at risk of having some issues that his neighbors call or his families from another state calls, says, gee, we're worried about our dad, he's just not, something's going on there. And they go and investigate, and they might find out that for in any of a variety of situations that that individual might need some help. And sometimes they don't always want help. And I think we have to recognize that they have a right not to want help. But sometimes their circumstances are such that they don't realize that they may need help. And so in those situations, they then can go to the courts, go to the district attorney, get a court order for protective services, which is different than that is just providing the services for that individual. So in a lot of these cases, they may need a guardian, and it takes some time to get that guardianship in place. And currently we allow them 72 hours of the protective services, good for 72 hours. And what we've heard from the department is sometimes it just takes longer than that to get it. The recommendation and what this bill does is extend that time frame to 14 days. That allows for the 2 weeks of 5 business days in each week, and we would take into consideration holidays and other anomalies that might come into play, so that if they're trying to get a guardianship in place or trying to get a family member to them, or trying to make sure that their medication is correct, that they don't have to go through the process of getting the emergency services authorized through the courts again. So the question was asked, well, does it stay in effect for the full 14 days? If the full 14 days is not required, no, they could close the case. So if it's done in 3 days, they could close the case. If it's done in 10 days, they could close the case. And that's no longer, that order is complete. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on the bill? Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got some bills coming that are dealing with what we call red flag, and it turns out that there's this new era that we're in where we don't have due process. And I do believe this bill addresses a due process issue. So I have some questions about the vulnerable adult. We see in the bill it's talking about abuse and several other things. Does the adult in question have an opportunity to show up at court, or is this all done without their actually being present? And who is it that determines that they're competent to be at the trial or the hearing at least? Thank you.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The way I understood it from thus far is it's not a determination particularly that they're competent or not competent, as much as it is they need some emergency services to make sure that they're safe and hopefully continue on independently. And so they're not taking the rights away per se, but in some situations, the court may deem, and they get a say, that you need to get some medical attention, or you need to, we need to have you someplace while we address some issues within your home. And or we need to make sure that you're not continuing to drain your resources without a guardian or a member of your family understanding. And they want to make sure that those are in place so that they don't further inadvertently cause self-harm, whether that be financially or physically or health-wise.
Thank you, Representative Larson. Is there any others that would like to speak on this bill? Representative Locke.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I guess I would just like, I think you've kind of explained it. I just want to make sure I understand. Maybe in a little bit more detail, what control is handed over? I guess I'm not understanding this process as well. What control is handed over of that individual in terms of their ability to say, hey, I don't need that, or I do need that? I guess I would just like to understand that a little bit better. If the presenter can maybe give me more detail, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Representative Larson.
Mr. Chairman, and I'll try, and maybe I can give an example a little bit, because what I would help you to understand is when DFS responds, they send out a caseworker who is trained, and they make the evaluation, and in their evaluation, if they determine in the situation, they determine that there perhaps is a situation that warrants emergency protective services, then they would go to the court or to the county attorney, and they would go through that process. And sometimes that happens on weekends, sometimes that happens at night, like other things, and they would have to make that determination. And perhaps an example might be that a vulnerable adult is in a hospital setting, lacks capacity. The DFS caseworker would have time to complete a family search to find out where the appropriate family member is, who then would need time to arrange for being off work, time to make travel arrangements. This scenario, a family member could then maybe come to the hospital and take the role of caregiver. If not, then there needs to be adequate plans of care for moving forward through a guardian or something of that nature until the person is able to live independently. And sometimes it just takes more than 72 hours to get all of that into place.
Thank you, Representative Larson. Representative Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to clarify a couple of things about the proposed statutory changes. We're not changing what the process is. We're just extending the time period by which it has to be done. Most of these situations end up in a guardianship. So 3 days oftentimes does not give the department enough time to track down, as the former speaker was just talking about, track down relatives to get a guardianship in place. And so what we're trying to do is make it so that they don't have to automatically apply for that 30-day extension. So if you look at the bill, you'll see there's language in the bill, which is the current statute. We're not changing that. There's already an opportunity for the department to get a 30-day extension. What we're actually trying to do is cut down on court time and the need for an automatic extension, because that's what's happening right now is the department goes in and asks for these services so that we can go get these services provided for these vulnerable adults. But then immediately we got to go back to the courthouse and ask for that extension because we can't get the services done. For example, we can't find the guardian, we can't find the family member who needs to be appointed as the guardian within that 72 hours, because it's just too short, comes in on a Friday. Now, weekends don't currently count, but even if this happens on a Friday, which it seems if you're in the law enforcement world, everything happens on a Friday for whatever reason, or sometimes a Saturday, but you then have just a couple of days at the beginning of the week and you're already then filing for the extension. So really what we're trying to get to is so that we take less court time. These folks that are our agents that are out in the field that are trying to help these folks are not spending time drafting documents to go get the extension done. Instead, they're spending their time, which is valuable and expensive. Instead of on court documents, they're spending that time actually trying to get the job done, which is getting these services provided and finding the people we need to carry out the services. Thank you.
Chairman Washington. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to emphasize that this statute's been in place for decades. This is not something new that just came along, and the whole idea of red flag laws is, came along way after the statute was created. The time frame is the only thing we're changing here. Just the time frame. None of the other language in the statute. We're simply giving more time, especially in some of our smaller communities, getting someone to do something as simple as clean out a house that's unsanitary, right? That can take some time. So do you want your DFS workers waiting in court, or do you want them actually trying to help the person who's in need? So all we're changing is the time frame here, nothing nefarious.
Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the Good Country Lawyers' comments as well as the good chairman of Judiciary. I just want to present a scenario. The good chairman of Judiciary brought up a great point, is that the red flag law issue is a new phenomenon. This law has been on the books for a long time, and I think we've managed it quite well, other than the issue that we're running into as far as court time. And I do understand that. I don't actually have the answer. I hope this body can come up with the answer, and maybe this bill is the answer. My question is, as we are living in a new time, here's the scenario I would present to you. You have an elderly gentleman who has hunted his entire life and who loves to hunt, and he still has his hunting guns. And then he has a woke granddaughter who doesn't think he should have guns in the house for any reason. And so she goes through the process. It's a danger according to a woke judge. And then now, instead of it getting resolved in 72 hours, it has to be resolved in 14 days. He misses a particular hunting window that he had. I can just envision this maybe having an unintended consequence. And so if the gentleman that has been speaking to this could address that, I'd really appreciate it. This is the time to discuss these kinds of concerns. Thank you.
Representative Lawson.
So I appreciate that thought, but I don't know that what we're changing in this law changes that at all. I think as currently written, without this change, could that still be a possibility? Perhaps, right? And so how we address that moving forward maybe is probably worthy of some discussion. But what this change does right now in allowing DFS more time to provide those essential services, those emergency services, I don't think impacts that any more than this change, not making this change does. Current law is open to the same concerns that in the scenario that you provided.
Representative Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I would go back to my scenario. Is this going to create a situation where instead of 72 hours, we're able to address the issue for the elderly person instead of 14 days? That's the question.
I don't think the 14, and we can debate this for a while, but I don't think adding it to 14 days is going to change that significantly.
Chairman Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the vast majority of these adult protection cases, no court order is ever applied for. DFS is able to do an investigation, intervene, help the individual as necessary and move on. And it doesn't take any time. It's very quick. They're in and out, problem solved, right? So when we get to a case that's severe enough for DFS to actually be going to court to get a guardian appointed or some type of intervention going in through the court system, I just have a hard time picturing the individual missing his elk hunt, because the cases I've dealt with in adult protection world, these people are in terrible distress when we get to this point. And they're in such distress, they're not going to be going hunting, right? These folks are living in, the cases I don't even want, before dinner time, I don't want to go in to tell you about some of the cases I've seen, but they're really horrific when we get to this point. And so I just don't think that it's as big a concern as what we're thinking in this scenario.
Okay, question having been called. All those in favor of Chairman Washington's motion that when the committee of the whole rise to report it, do so with the recommendation that House Bill number 26 do pass. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 26 has passed the committee of the whole. The next bill for your consideration is going to be House Bill 27. The reading clerk, please read the bill.
House Bill 27, sponsored by Judiciary, DFS and Law Enforcement Cross-Reporting, an act relating to adult protective services. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 1, Judiciary, to whom is referred House Bill 27, DFS and Law Enforcement Cross-Reporting, respectfully report same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Chestick, Craigo, Haroldson, Nemec, Oakley, Provenza, Rodriguez Williams, Washit. Noes, Representative Jennings. Representative Washit, Chairman.
You've heard the reading of the bill. What is your pleasure, Chairman Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that when the committee of the whole rises to report, to do so with the recommendation that House Bill 27 do pass. There are no amendments. I turn over explanation of the bill to the good representative from House District 54.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, thanks for having these two bills back to back, because we've already broken the ice and helped you understand what we're dealing with here with vulnerable adults. And in the world for the agency and law enforcement, there's a couple of scenarios. One is when they determine that the person is in need or is vulnerable, has been abused. And then the other situation is just if they're suspected of being in one of those situations. And currently, there's different requirements for the department, the agency that handles this, and law enforcement. If DFS receives a call and their adult protective services goes out because somebody suspected their neighbor might be vulnerable, the agency then, after they complete their visit, has to notify law enforcement that they were called out and went in and assess this suspicion for this of this person being vulnerable, and can make the report that nothing happened, so on and so forth. Law enforcement, on the other hand, if they get a call from somebody on the weekend, say, man, I think that Larson guy's, which we know is probably true. We know the Larson guy. We think the Larson guy's having a problem. We suspect that maybe he's really vulnerable, old, gray, cranky. And so law enforcement comes because it's a suspicion that he may be vulnerable, and they determine, just mad because there's squirrels in the trees, right? And it's throwing a fit. And so they go back. There's no requirement for them to then notify the agency that they made a visit. And just in case management, as you can envision that with the Larson guy, 2 days later, they get another call. And 2 days later, they get the his daughter, who lives in Colorado, is very concerned, and she knows that she needs to call the department. The department goes in there, and little did they know that law enforcement's been there 2 other times, and it would be helpful to know that because it would help them to make an assessment. So what this does is just make that correction that says if the department goes in to evaluate if a person is suspected of being vulnerable, they have to report back to the agency, their local agency. So I'll try and answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Representative Larson. Any questions? Seeing no question having been called, all those in favor of Chairman Washington's motion that when the committee of the whole rise to report to do so with the recommendation that House Bill number 27 do pass, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 27 has passed the committee of the whole. So I have to, oh, sorry. Majority Floor Leader, there it is.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee of the whole rise and report.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no? No. The motion is carried.
Thanks. Reading clerk will read the committee of the whole.
Mr. Speaker, your committee of the whole, having had under consideration bills on general file, begs leave to report as follows. House Bill 11, do pass amended. House Bill 10, do pass. House Bill 16, do pass. House Bill 32, do pass. House Bill 15, do pass. House Bill 26, do pass. House Bill 27, do pass. Representative Haroldson, Chairman.
I move the adoption of the committee of the whole report.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries. Congratulations, Representative. Right. Let's see, we now have reports from standing committees or messages from the Senate, whichever you prefer to start. No messages, so let's do reports from standing.
House Bill 40, sponsored by corporations, school district trustee oath of office, an act relating to school district trustees. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 4 education, to whom is referred House Bill 40, school district trustee oath of office, respectful report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes. Representatives Allred, Andrew, Berger, Brown, Klauston, Lawley, Northrop, Obermueller, Provenza. Representative Northrop, Chairman. House Bill 71, sponsored by appropriations, broadband development, sub-account amendments, an act relating to economic development. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 2 appropriations, to whom is referred House Bill 71, broadband development, sub-account amendments. Respectful report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes. Representatives Henderson, Larson, Nicholas, Sherwood, Stith, Walters, Swanitzer. Representative Nicholas, Chairman. House Bill 72, sponsored by appropriations, workers' compensation, provisions for adverse deviation, an act relating to workers' compensation. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 2 appropriations, to whom is referred House Bill 72, workers' compensation, provisions for adverse deviation. Respect the report, same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes. Representatives Henderson, Larson, Nicholas, Sherwood, Stiff, Walters, Swanitzer. Representative Nicholas, Chairman. House Bill 73, sponsored by Appropriations, Abandoned Mine Reclamation Accounts, an act relating to environmental quality. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 2 Appropriations, to whom is referred House Bill 73, Abandoned Mine Reclamation Accounts, respectfully report same back to the House with the recommendation that it do pass. Ayes, Representatives Henderson, Larson, Nicholas, Sherwood, Stiff, Walters, Swanitzer. Representative Nicholas, Chairman.
All right. Well, I think that clears the deck, Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow, the 15th day of February 2024.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries, but we got committee announcements. I got a little excited. Chairman Burkhart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your committee number 9, Minerals Business and Economic Development, will meet at 8 a.m. Friday, the 16th, to take up 2 bills, House Bill 35, Limitation on Environmental Rulemaking, and House Bill 141, State Land Oil and Gas Lease.
Chairman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your committee number 8, Transportation, Highways, and Military Affairs, will meet tomorrow upon noon recess to discuss House Bill 23, Vehicle Registration E-Certificate and Grace Period, and House Bill 66, Firefighter Cancer Screening Benefits.
Chairman Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, your committee number 3, Revenue, will meet tomorrow, Thursday, February 15th at 7:30 a.m. And to hear House Bill 45, Property Tax Exemption on Residential Structures, House Bill 127, Property Tax Exemption Specified Real Property, House Bill 133, Property Tax Holiday, House Bill 134, Property Tax Deferral Program Amendments. And we do, Mr. Speaker, have House Bill 3 and House Bill 4 that we have the exemption for long-term homeowners and the property tax refund program that we have laid on the table till tomorrow. And Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Speaker and members, we might very well carry that meeting over to noon recess. We have 2 members that are in travel, but that meeting's not meeting till 1, and very well might carry it over to upon adjournment. So members, clear the decks if we need to, and we're going to try to work all these and try to make sure they all work together and come forward with a package to the floor of this body. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your House Committee number 6, Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, and Cultural Resources, will be meeting at 1 tomorrow since we have other of our committee members with other obligations. We will take up House Bill 67, Outdoor Recreation Tourism Trust Fund Administration 2. Thank you.
Chairman Ed.
Mr. Speaker, your committee number 5, Agriculture, will meet at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're going to start working House Bill 60 and then House Bill 13 and then House Bill 12.
Chairman Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your House Appropriations Committee, number 2, will meet on adjournment. We will hear House Bill 75, 74, 75, and 83. We will meet at noon or at 9 a.m. tomorrow to hear House Bill 138. We'll also do House Bill 33 on a re-referral this evening if there are any.
All right, thank you. And just a reminder to the minority floor leader and the majority floor leader will meet after we get done tonight. With that, we'll stand at recess, or we'll stand adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, February 15th, 2024.